Alright, you and I are about to dive into the story of a genius who is basically a cheat code from birth. He has fame, looks, and even true love. When should romance really start? Right from childhood. Maybe that is the secret to finding the one and getting sweet moments like these while everyone else is still struggling. It all kicked off a few years back. This kid was only 1 month old and already feeding from what looks like the fountain of the gods. Because of that divine milk, he is already way stronger than any regular baby his age. One day, he finished a quest to kick his feet 10,000 times and unlocked a legendary skill. Now, his body can evolve infinitely, pushing past every single human limit imaginable. His parents are stunned, joking that their son could even become a cyborg or a hero. A normal infant wouldn't have a clue what they were talking about. But inside Lin Zichin's head, he was busy wondering if he was going to end up as Spider-Man or Goss. At just 4 months old, Lin Zichin was stealthily crawling all over the house at night. He does it in secret so he doesn't freak out his poor parents. While he is jumping and sprinting around the living room, his physical strength points just keep climbing higher. By 6 months, the kid finally started walking in front of his parents without causing a heart attack. While watching television, he heard more about cyborgs and genetically modified superhumans. Turns out, Earth is under constant attack from terrifying giant monsters, and these heroes are the only ones who can defeat those scary beasts. Humanity used advanced tech to build powerful cyborgs and leveled up DNA research to create genetics, humans who have reached the absolute peak of physical strength through genetic modification. Watching this, Lin Zichin realized his infinite evolution skill is actually way better than those cyborgs. Now watch this part closely. While he was plotting, the new neighbors moved in next door and came over to say hello. Here is the wife, and here is the husband, and in their arms, they held a very special girl. Lin Zichin felt like their destinies were already linked somehow. By 7 months old, Lin Zichin was training even harder. Though in front of his mom and dad, he still had to act like a normal kid. But the second he was alone, back to the grind. He tried to stay low-key, but a mother's eyes are always watching her children. It is impossible to slip up without being noticed. The woman thought she was going crazy and had to rub her eyes. Lin Zichin took the chance to act like it was all a hallucination. Just kid stuff, nothing to see here. Another day, his mom was washing her little treasure and called her husband over to look. Look, honey. Our son has a six-pack and he is only 8 months old. The dad used 100% of his brain power to remember how their son eats like a starving beggar, so he must be a once-in-a-millennium prodigy. Even Zhang Wangxin forgets she married a total goofball. Since then, the mom started watching her son a lot closer. She purposely left the television on a channel talking about a Marshall family's genius kid who could lift 20 kilos at age 2. Trust me, his mom is absolutely sure that her boy is more of a genius than any other kid on the planet. And she was right. In the boy's eyes, absolutely nothing in this world was considered impossible. When he turned 2, he was lifting 20 kilos like it was a feather, but he still had to hide it from his family, leading to some very close calls. But this time, the one who almost discovered his secret potential was his cute childhood friend, Shen Qinghan. She brings over these amazing sweets her mother makes, and after lunch, she usually passes out for a nap. Lin Zichin uses all that free time to train. Unfortunately, sometimes the water tap just won't stay closed, getting him completely soaked in the process. By age 3, he was even stronger. 40 kilos was basically a piece of cake for him. At age 4, the top prodigy of the heavenly capital could only lift 30 kilos in total. Despite being stronger than the world's best prodigy, Lin Zichin wonders why he is stuck at Tier 1. Maybe Tier 2 is just impossible for humans. The first time he went out, the two beauties took their kids for a stroll. The main character was shocked to see beastmen and cyborgs everywhere. His parents would not let him use any electronic devices, so he convinced his mother to take him to a library, knowing he could find some real answers there. Upon arriving, Lin Zichin dashed straight for the books, startling his mother since the children's section was way on the other side. Shumong said little Chen Chen must be a real genius for liking such advanced books. Through the books, the main character discovered the world was divided into 6 biological levels, from normal to mystic. Each of these levels was further divided into 9 separate stages. It is a long climb to the top. Normal humans were only at level 1, which was absolutely nothing compared to the power of the beasts. Because of this, Lin Zichin concluded that he needed to train way harder if he wanted to face them. His system rewarded him for this discovery, proving that knowledge was power. So, in the following days, he continued his intense training while reading every book he could find. At 4 years old, little Chen Chen started kindergarten and finally met his new teacher, Miss Jiang Mei. A short time later, our protagonist finally managed to advance to level 2. He could already lift 80 kilograms with ease while performing other insane physical feats. But unlike him, little Han Han was at the mercy of the other children. You and I need to see what's next. Alright, you and I are about to watch how an overpowered kid reshapes his world, starting with protecting his friend from some local bullies. He terrified the other children, earning Shen Qinghan's total devotion and a sweet reward from his system for the intervention. Between finishing new missions and becoming the king of the kindergarten, 6 months flew by in a total flash. He eventually completed the reading mission and unlocked the celestial root of wisdom attribute for his character. This boosted his learning capacity massively, and soon enough, 7-year-old Lin Zichin was finally graduating from kindergarten. But even during the summer vacation, the training didn't stop for our dedicated main character. He pushed his routine until he could sprint 100 meters in under 8 seconds. With those stats, he crushed the entire elementary curriculum in a month, further improving his attributes along the way. When elementary school began, Lin Zichin was miles ahead, dominating every competition like it was absolutely nothing. For him, school was just a playground to unlock even more high-tier titles in his system. He still found time to help Shen Qinghan study, since she wasn't quite the genius he had become. She was a hard worker though, and her grades improved until she became the second-best student in class. Lin Zichin also dove into every sport possible to keep evolving his physical abilities to the absolute maximum. In the middle of everything, a new student named Bai Shuer joined the class, and Lin Zichin immediately noticed she was special because of a powerful aura radiating from her now. Pay attention here, because this is where the story gets really wild. While the other kids were just mesmerized by Bai Shuer's beauty, our hero was focused on her power. Even Shen Qinghan was stunned, saying the newcomer's hair looked just like pure white snowflakes. But Lin Zichin could only wonder why her energy felt so different from any normal human he had met. Was she a genetic experiment, or born from special parents? Since arriving, she hadn't said a single word to anyone. She just slept through every class and never even left the room, not even for a bathroom break. People were curious at first, but soon everyone just went back to their usual daily school routine. Suddenly, a strange liquid started leaking from Bai Shuer, and the smell was honestly not very pleasant at all. Seeing this, a bully decided to be a jerk and threw water on her, mocking her for needing a bath. She didn't fight back or get aggressive at all. Instead, she just sat there and started crying. Lin Zichin was totally thrown off since he expected a monster, but his friend begged him to go help. Regardless of her mysterious aura, he saw a girl in front of him who just needed someone to stand up for her. He marched over and forced the bully to clean her desk, and the kid was way too terrified to refuse. After all, Lin Zichin's reputation as a beast was well known even among the older students in the school. No one dared to cross him, so he made everyone who laughed offer her a sincere and formal apology. As they all apologized, Bai Shuer spoke her very first words, thanking Lin Zichin for his heroic help. Shen Qinghan just smiled and told her that is exactly what friends are supposed to do for each other. The girls became inseparable, but one day Bai Shuer confessed she felt her bad smell drove people away. I think you and I can both feel for her here. She explained she'd always been lonely because of it and was so grateful to finally have someone by her side. Shen Qinghan totally understood that pain from her own past and told her she wasn't alone anymore. She added that if Bai Shuer wanted, the three of them could be the best of friends forever. Bai Shuer responded to the kind gesture with a big hug, clearly moved by such a generous offer. To thank them for sharing their snacks, she pulled out a special necklace made from actual beast fangs. It was a birthday gift from her mother, and she wanted her new best friends to accept it as thanks. Shen Qinghan happily took the gift, declaring they would all stay together from now on. But that happiness was short-lived, as Shen Qinghan received news that her friend was being transferred away. Lin Zichin found out the truth about the transfer after doing a little spying in the principal's office. She wasn't just a student, she was a VIP whose real identity had to be kept a total secret. Just like that, she was gone. But the strange and surprising events in his life were only just beginning. He even used a new technique he learned to give his hardworking mother a life-changing massage. Meanwhile, the news reported a 10-year-old Kyoto prodigy who successfully merged his DNA with a powerful beast. The boy could lift 500 kilos, and Lin Zichin recognized him instantly. Trust me, you and I are in for a wild ride. Alright. You and I are watching a child prodigy who's always on television, and his father believed they were just turning the kid into some high-tech advertising influencer. Meanwhile, he felt he was falling behind since he didn't have a gene function like that TV star. Even so, Lin Zichin knew he had the potential for greatness, and stayed confident in his own future. However, the news suddenly announced that a major beast attack had devastated a neighboring country. Giant mutant rats were destroying entire cities, becoming an impossible problem to solve. Investigators soon discovered that a group of heretics was behind the chaos. Through a spokesperson, Japan begged other nations for help in wiping out both the monsters and the heretics. Seeing this, Lin Zichin realized this cult of heretics had betrayed humanity, siding with monsters just to grab some power for themselves. As he processed all this, a deafening boom shook the entire house. He ran to the window and saw flying cyborgs, wondering what they could be doing at that hour. Without getting any answers, he just went to school like normal the next day. Upon meeting his friend, Lin Zichin noticed that the necklace she was wearing was actually glowing. The main character realized the strange aura he felt wasn't from the girl, but from that mysterious necklace. The jewelry faded, but between that and the flying cyborgs, trust me, you and I know something big is about to happen. On their way to school, they met a woman who started giving them weird compliments. She asked if they were siblings, but Shen Qinghan explained they were just childhood friends who grew up together. In a playful tone, the woman said she was envious and wished she had a close friend like that. Then she asked why they were walking alone. Before his friend could answer, Lin Zichin pulled her away, saying they'd be late if they kept on talking. Once they were clear, he warned her not to talk to strangers, let alone answer their questions. After school, they walked home together, but entering a creepy alley made Shen Qinghan feel totally uneasy. Lin Zichin reassured her, explaining that the area was quiet because it was scheduled for demolition very soon. But then that woman suddenly appeared again. She turned to her partner and said she had finally tracked the children down. Lin Zichin was stunned, even though he had purposely changed their route to avoid her. She found them anyway. The woman tried to sweet-talk the children into going home with her. Her partner thought talking was a waste of time and tried force, but let's see how our hero handles this. He landed a massive punch on the big man, sending him flying. The woman was shocked, wondering how a child could blast an adult twice his size and weight across the alley with one hit. Taking advantage of her distraction, Lin Zichin closed in and leveled her as well. He realized there were no cameras nearby, so it was best to eliminate the witnesses to avoid any sort of future trouble. Suddenly, the ground began to tremble. Without warning, a massive mutant rat burst through the rubble right in front. The monster saved him the trouble by killing both witnesses. Immediately, he grabbed his friend and bolted to get as much distance as possible. The girl was terrified, but he just told her they needed to find a safe spot. During their escape, a female cyborg arrived from the sky. He noted how incredibly fast the response force had arrived. The cyborg ignored the kids, focusing on the monster and prepping a missile attack to wipe that giant rat out. She didn't take long to kill the beast, and the children managed to make it back home safely. He analyzed her power, thinking her level was low since she used weak missiles and took 7 minutes to win. Regardless, he knew those mutant rats were tricky. They were huge, strong, and could even reach a terrifying Tier 5 ranking. Grateful to have escaped, Lin Zichin decided he needed to train much harder for next time. Later, he and Shen Qinghan celebrated another birthday with wishes and gifts. Thanks to his celestial root of wisdom, he learned how to carve a wooden hair clip for her. Soon, they both graduated middle school and entered high school. During the break, Lin Zichin trained every chance he got, determined to push his power level even higher. He quickly reached Tier 3, and his physical attributes started evolving at a significantly faster rate. One night before school started, he saw a news report about that famous prodigy from Kyoto. At just 14, the boy fused with giant ant genes to lift 2 tons. Trust me, you'll want to see what's next. If he was already this strong, imagine the power he could reach through gene fusion. Let's see how he starts this journey. Entering high school, Lin Zichin's top grades earned him a spot at the city's elite academy, but he only accepted the offer if his best friend could come along too. As an exemplary student, the teachers and principal gave him a massive welcome on his first day. He picked this school for the sports facilities, planning to play badminton with his friend Shen Qinghan, who was super hyped to play for the very first time. But then, an older student crashed their game. He claimed the court belonged to the upperclassmen. Annoyed, Lin Zichin stepped in, telling them they were there first and to follow the school rules while staying away from his friend. The bully snapped back, saying even if an emperor arrived first, this was his court and he made the rules. Stick with me here, because his response is legendary. He tells them he makes the rules now, before shattering the bully's racket with one insane power shot. It wasn't just the boy, everyone else was absolutely terrified. They quickly apologized, swearing from that moment on that they would respect the new rules. After that, nobody dared to mess with them again. During class, Lin Zichin studied advanced topics since he had already mastered the entire high school curriculum early. Using his unique abilities, he absorbed everything he could from the internet, from school subjects to anything else that caught his interest. Not only was he the top student, but he dominated every single sports tournament he entered. While this didn't help his system, his fame with the girls at school was definitely blowing up. Still, he never stopped looking out for his best friend and always helped her whenever she needed it. Later, he joined a sports event focused on 3 specific skills: strength, jumping, and speed. Dominating these meant ruling every physical event. Even while holding back, Lin Zichin easily walked away with first place. It didn't take long before he earned the coveted title of high school emperor. Walking home, he started thinking about vital essence. He figured that since he was superior, devouring another creature's essence should boost his own. He borrowed his friend's necklace and used it to successfully absorb the vital essence from a fang he found. That's how he learned it belonged to a mutant butterfly. But searching the internet for more info on the creature turned up nothing at all. Only his system has the answers, watch this. He decided to analyze the necklace again. This time, the system alerted him that he had absorbed an abyssal giant butterfly's essence. However, he noticed he had only obtained 2% of it. Since he only had the fang and not the whole body, it was incomplete. The next day, he wondered if he could absorb the essence of fear next. Suddenly, the martial arts teacher interrupted his thoughts. He praised Lin Zichin's incredible performance in the tournaments, calling it the best in school history before inviting him to join the team. He insisted that with such talent, Lin Zichin could be the greatest fighter and asked him to visit the gym. The teacher was so pushy that Lin Zichin couldn't say no. Back home, he killed a mosquito and realized ordinary animals didn't have any vital essence to absorb. He concluded that only powerful beasts could release that kind of energy. To test this, he headed to the market. With his friend along, Lin Zichin checked some packaged meats, but since they were sealed, he couldn't feel a thing. He decided it was better to talk to the butcher directly instead of looking at the trays. He could see his friend's confusion since he hadn't explained why he was in such a rush. But his urgency to find the truth pushed him right toward the meat counter. In this market, which sold both normal and beast meat, he could finally feel the vital essence radiating from the cuts. His friend, though, asked why he was getting so hyped just by touching a piece of meat. Lin Zichin said it was because he found different types and asked if she wanted to touch them too. She said no, so he bought a few pieces for home testing. Trust me, you and I can see his friend is totally shocked. Beast meat wasn't cheap, so he picked out the most affordable cut he could find. Still, she thought the price was crazy and told him to ask his mom before spending it. The protagonist reassured her, saying his mother had already authorized the purchase. Alright, you and I are about to dive into a story where a grocery run turns epic. Lin Zichin's mom wanted him to buy enough beast meat for a feast with Han's family. Plus, he was worried that absorbing the energy might ruin the flavor or make the meat go bad. He couldn't risk testing it at the market. That piece was way too expensive to waste, and he knew he might not get another chance to buy more soon. On the ride home, though, Lin Zichin couldn't hold back. He decided to try absorbing the meat's essence right there in the middle of the street. Immediately, his system confirmed he had successfully absorbed the essence of a ghost squid. However, that single piece only gave him 1% of the total essence. He realized he would need to consume a lot more to fully assimilate a single creature's power. A ghost squid's main ability is to dissolve in water, which would be useful, but buying the necessary meat would be way too expensive. He needed to find a way to make money without relying on his parents. At least the meat wasn't spoiled yet, so dinner was still on the table. But then, pay attention, this distraction leads straight into a crisis. He was so focused on the meat that he totally forgot he was riding a bike. After an abrupt stop, his friend noticed something terrifying. Her teacher, Jiang Mei, was being held hostage by a man with a weapon. The police had already surrounded the area and were desperately trying to negotiate the teacher's release. The captain ordered his men to hold their fire. The victim's safety was their #1 priority. A soldier suggested a tranquilizer, but the captain thought it was too risky. The effects wouldn't be instant, and the culprit might lash out if he felt a sting. Suddenly, a stone flew through the air. It struck the culprit's hand, forcing him to drop his knife and let the hostage go. The captain shouted for his officers to move in. They captured the man and secured the teacher immediately. His friend realized Lin Zichin had thrown the stone, but he told her to keep quiet so they could talk about it later. However, the police captain also saw the boy's incredible throw and came over to question him. Lin Zichin played it cool and denied everything before running home. The captain found it strange that anyone would hide such a heroic deed. Usually, people like that would be demanding a reward. When the main character heard that part, he stopped in his tracks. He walked right back to the captain and admitted he was the one who threw the stone after all. He claimed he just didn't want any extra attention. The captain said they needed a formal report before handing over a reward. Lin Zichin told his family he had to head to the station. But then, something nightmare-level happened. The culprit revealed he was a heretic and transformed into a massive, disgusting monster. The beast immediately started tearing through the police force. The captain ordered every officer to open fire on the giant rat. Seeing his team getting overwhelmed, the captain frantically called for backup. Meanwhile, Lin Zichin grabbed his friend and the teacher, yelling that they needed to get out of there right now. I know what you're thinking, a giant rat? Well, things get wilder when Lin Zichin sees a cyborg approaching the monster during their escape. The backup the police requested arrived in seconds, appearing on the battlefield with a massive laser cannon. Once they opened fire, the rat didn't stand a chance. Lin Zichin was stunned by the cyborg's overwhelming destructive power. After the dust settled, he was just relieved to see his bicycle hadn't been crushed in the chaos. But when he checked his bag, the meat had finally spoiled. It turns out, absorbing the essence really does ruin the food. It just took a few minutes to show. Using the chaos as an excuse, he blamed the heretic for ruining his groceries. They headed to the station in a patrol car, but Lin Zichin didn't expect to be sitting right where the heretic's burned body had been. Despite the stench, He wondered if there was any vital essence left in the charred remains. He decided to try and absorb whatever was left of the monster. He managed to do it without being noticed. His system confirmed he had absorbed 5% of a giant rat's essence. Since the kill was so fresh, the body held way more power than expected. He managed to hide it from the officer next to him, but the captain was a different story. Once they settled the reward money, the captain was suspicious. He asked how a student could hit a target with a stone from that distance, with such perfect precision. Lin Zichin claimed he just practiced a lot at school and got lucky. Right then, his worried mother showed up at the station to find him. And that's where we leave it, trust me. You'll want to see what's next. He just tells his mom he's being rewarded for his bravery. First, you and I need to see the promise his mother makes him never play the hero again, just run for safety. She tells him she never wants to hear about him being in life-threatening danger ever again. Lin Zichin agrees to stay out of trouble and walks away from the captain. But as he is leaving, he catches some cops whispering about the rat cult targeting low-tier students at local universities. The officers argue that just dealing with small monsters won't cut it. They say it is much better to strike the root of the problem, the Rat King himself. This was all news to Lin Zichin, but a quick search online reveals plenty. The main base for this cult is right here in his city. Most members are dangerous criminals, and the group has been growing like crazy over the last few years. Even worse, the Rat King is forcing his followers to hoard evolution materials just to boost his own power. Lin Zichin realizes the Rat King might actually be intelligent. Then, he notices his friend is acting way too quiet. He remembers that she gets incredibly restless and can't sit still whenever she starts feeling nervous. He decides to keep her calm until they get home. When they arrive, his mother is shocked he lost the meat. He explains that during all the chaos and confusion, the meat just vanished and he couldn't find it. His mother tells him that as long as he is safe and sound, she doesn't care about the meat, which makes Lin Zichin feel incredibly relieved. However, his father is determined to go back out and look for the missing package. Lin Zichin warns him that the meat is probably spoiled by now anyway. Back at the station, the captain is still puzzled. Now pay attention, a massive, mutated rat just crawled right into the middle of the police station. He tries to open fire, but the creature is way smarter and faster than any normal animal. Back at school, Lin Zichin realizes he is still weak compared to cyborgs and ratmen. He needs money to buy energy meat. He thinks about becoming an influencer, but he needs a fast way to get rich without being in the spotlight. But in this world, martial arts skills are worth way more than grades. The prize money for sports is massive, so it is time to move. After class, Lin Zichin heads to the school gym and greets Professor Guo. The professor asks if he is finally ready to stop being stubborn and join the martial arts team. But here is the catch. He only cares if these martial arts tournaments actually pay out in cash. The professor confirms it, promising that the rewards for the winners are actually quite generous. Hearing about the money, Lin Zichin officially agrees to join the school team. With the decision final, Guo gathers everyone and introduces their newest member. The other students all step up to welcome Lin Zichin to the squad. Next, Professor Guo starts demonstrating some fundamental fighting techniques for the new recruit. He explains that they might look easy, but they take real effort to master over time. Time to practice. Using his broken system, he absorbs every single move instantly and pulls off a perfect execution on his very first try. Witnessing this, the professor is completely speechless. He thinks it should be impossible for someone to learn that fast. He asks how he did it on the first try, calling him a total prodigy. Later, his mother calls for dinner. Lin Zichin walks into the kitchen to see what is cooking. She made the squid he has been craving. It smells amazing, and his mother tells him to dig in while it is still nice and hot. After one bite, Lin Zichin tells her she is the greatest cook on the entire planet. She is just happy he likes it, mentioning she bought over 1 kilogram of it. Suddenly, his system alerts him. He discovers he can actually absorb life essence just by eating regular meat. Then, a news report pops up about a 14-year-old prodigy who merged with a power reactor. She is the youngest cyborg ever. With the reactor, she can lift 2 tons and run 100 meters in 3 seconds. Lin Zichin realizes that compared to this superstar from Kyoto, this girl is on a whole different level, likely thanks to her high-tech modifiers. Suddenly, the news reports that Captain He Chun-chan was killed in his office by a mutant rat. Lin Zichin is stunned, absolutely furious. He pushes his training to the limit. Trust me, you and I are not ready for his revenge. Alright, you and I are about to see what happens when a total loser suddenly gains the power of a god. Lin Zichin has mastered martial arts and feels ready to crush anyone in an official fighting tournament. A bit later, he heads to the gym with his friend, who is dying to know about his training. Suddenly, a girl stops him to ask if he has eaten, offering some fresh milk in case he is hungry. Lin Zichin says he is fine, but thanks her for the sweet and kind gesture. Nearby, a jealous boy fumes, hating how Lin Zichin is now stealing every bit of attention from the girl he secretly likes. Enraged, he blocks his path, calling him incredibly rude for turning down a classmate's gift of milk. Our main character explains he is allergic, but the jealous guy claims that's just a weak, pathetic excuse. He demands a duel, promising to stop bothering him if he loses. But if he wins, there is a catch for our hero. If Lin Zichin loses, he has to drink all that milk. Suddenly, the system triggers a mission to win. With a big reward on the line, he accepts the fight. Word of the showdown spreads like wildfire, and soon the entire school gym is packed with curious students. Surprisingly, the crowd, especially the girls, is already rooting for Lin Zichin to win. The jealous boy is fuming, seeing this as the perfect chance to humiliate the main character and teach him a lesson in front of everyone. Lin Zichin sighs, mentioning he's in a rush and wants to get home in time for dinner. His arrogant opponent sneers, saying this won't take long for him at all. Professor Guo steps in as judge, warning both boys to keep the duel fair and careful. Feeling superior, the boy offers Lin Zichin 3 free strikes since he's only been training for 1 month while he has been a pro for 2 years. He accepts the deal. Now watch this. This is the moment he lands a single punch and ends the entire fight in a flash. Shen Qinghan cheers for her friend, and soon every girl in the gym joins in on the celebration. The system notifies him of gained affection points, but warns that to increase his fighting attributes, he must defeat 1,000 opponents first. Seeing he has only 1 win, Lin Zichin asks the professor for more challengers right then and there. Scared out of their minds, half the boys bolt for the exit before they can be picked. However, the loser refuses to give up, claiming it was a fluke and demanding a rematch from the main character. Professor Guo tells him to take it like a man and calls up the next student to fight. The next guy is terrified but tries his best to look like an intimidating threat. 10 minutes later, the main character has flattened every single opponent the professor sent out to the ring. None of those wins counted toward progress. He still needs 999 more to level up. Regardless, the professor is floored, calling him the best fighter in the school after just 1 month. He's certain that with Lin Zichin on the squad, the regional tournament is as good as won. Think about it, our main character realized this tournament is the ultimate loophole to level his stats up. He figures that crushing opponents in an official arena has to count toward his system mission progress. In this world, you're either a scholar or a warrior. And the warriors are the ones getting the glory. Inspired, Shen Qinghan starts training too, with Lin Zichin teaching her every combat trick he knows. He pushes her through brutal cardio and even helps her recover from the tension with some high-level massages. Meanwhile, he's grinding even harder, desperate to unlock his full survival potential before the big tournament day. 1 month passes in a flash, and the day of the tournament finally arrives. The city stadium is buzzing with hype as the athletes gather in the private rest area. Professor Guo is worried, noting they were unlucky enough to draw the strongest team in the first round. Their rivals have a monster who can run 100 meters in 9 seconds. That is why nobody wants to face him. Without hesitation, Lin Zichin steps up and volunteers to lead the charge for his school. The professor agrees, and once in the ring, his opponent admits he is a promising young rookie. And that's where we leave it. You and I know this guy is about to regret every single arrogant word he just said to our main character. Get ready, you and I are watching a legend born. His opponent charges with total confidence, but his eyes widen when Lin Zichin effortlessly slips the punch. He doesn't just dodge, Lin Zichin counters instantly, dropping the big guy with one devastating strike. First match, first win. His friend is hyped, and even the professors can't hide their massive grins. Nearby, the losing coach rips into his student for being so incredibly careless. Winning matches isn't just for show, it is actually boosting Lin Zichin's secret mission progress toward completion. Meanwhile, the rival coach sends out his next fighter. The bell rings and the opponent strikes, but Lin Zichin dances away before launching a punishing counterattack. Just like the last guy, he ends the whole show with one single hit. The crowd is shocked by this rookie's insane power, while the opposing coach panics and sends in his final student. This next guy is a tactical genius. Everyone leans in, wondering if brains can beat Lin Zichin's brawn. The referee gives the signal to start. The tactical fighter snaps, unleashing a flurry of wild punches. His coach is furious, since the plan was to stay defensive and play it safe. But the student thinks defense is for losers and decides to unleash his ultimate technique. However, he is left trembling when he realizes none of his attacks land. He stops in shock, demanding to know how a human can possibly dodge that fast. Lin Zichin mocks his predictable moves, then decides to end the fight instantly to stop the boredom. With another victory, the crowd explodes in pure hype. You and I saw this coming. He absolutely steamrolls through every weak opponent for 2 days straight without anyone lasting a single minute. Before long, Lin Zichin carries his entire school to a tournament championship. He still needs to crush 984 more enemies to finish his quest. That will take some time. On the bright side, he walks away with 20,000 in cash. Totaling everything up, he now has 30,000 yen sitting in his pocket. But he spends that cash fast, buying 15 kilograms of rare squid meat. After one massive meal, he absorbs 33% of the monster's energy. Soon enough, he breaks through to Tier 4, and that is not all. Both his physical power and speed hit new levels. He and his friend finally graduate high school, but then, they get some really bad news. Shen Qinghan had great grades, but her martial arts scores just were not high enough. Because of that, they did not get accepted into the same university. Lin Zichin tries to stay positive, telling her he will ask the university director for a favor when she visits. But Shen Qinghan just sighs, knowing the director only wants him. He makes it clear if his best friend is not going, then he is not going either. Now here is where things get real. The university director actually visits his home, desperate to recruit him. After pitching the school, she stops and asks if Lin Zichin has any specific requests to join. He tells her he is happy with the offer so far, but he has one condition: he wants his best friend to attend the university right alongside him. The director agrees immediately, promising to enroll both of them when the semester starts. The two friends are absolutely buzzing with pure excitement. Before college starts, Lin Zichin enters one final high school tournament and crushes every single opponent without breaking a sweat. With his new winnings, it is finally time to fulfill a long-time wish. He was stuck at 80% ghost squid assimilation, so he buys enough meat to hit that final 100% mark. He devours the meat, and his system rings out assimilation, with the ghost squid is finally at 100%. He now has the powers of a ghost squid, meaning he can swim and breathe underwater like a natural. Testing it out, he finds he can breathe perfectly underwater, and surprisingly, his skin does not even get wrinkled. Besides that though, there are not many other perks, which is honestly a bit of a letdown. Still, he is committed to absorbing more beast abilities until he finds something truly game-breaking. Before heading back to school, he takes his family and friends on a trip to test his new water powers. He drags everyone to the beach, and while Shen Qinghan complains about the freezing water, our main character dives in headfirst to put his new skills to the ultimate test. Trust me, you and I are going to want to see where this journey goes next. She needs a swim coach. Alright. You and I are diving back into Lin Zichin's journey as he tries teaching his non-swimmer friend, but she's a natural. Shen Qinghan was actually thrilled she could keep her eyes open deep underwater. She always heard it was painful and stinging, but now she figured everyone was just being dramatic. Lin realized this definitely wasn't normal, wondering where her strange affinity for the water was actually coming from. Thinking back, he remembered she always struggled with her balance on land. Lin wondered if there was a direct connection or if she carried the legendary, hidden physique of a goddess from her past life. Regardless, they kept swimming, but her performance started getting even more impressive by the second. She could hold her breath forever, even without the squid abilities Lin had worked so hard to get. Now pay attention here. Shen Qing starts hearing a mysterious voice underwater and rushes to the surface. Lin asked why she was so tense, and she admitted a voice from the depths totally freaked her out. She couldn't understand a single word because it was a totally foreign language, but she was certain it was a female voice. Back at the hotel, Lin scoured the internet for any clues about the voice, but found nothing. The curiosity kept him awake, so he decided to train until he collapsed. He concluded that if he kept pushing this hard every day, it would only be a matter of time before he crushed monsters barehanded. After hitting level 5, he went for a run to test his new stats. Not only was he faster, but his jumping power reached new heights. His physical strength was officially next level, making heavy weights feel like feathers before his student routine finally started back up. He and his friend arrived early for the morning cleaning duty, and Lin noticed the new classmates already recognized his name. Suddenly, the system alerted him that even cooperative cleaning tasks could unlock rewards, but he'd need to finish 1,000 of them first. Lin couldn't wait to see the payoff. Next stop? The supermarket. Since he was done with the squid essence, it was time to see what other beast meats could boost his attributes further. I know what you're thinking, eagle meat for breakfast? Well, that's his next target. The tyrant eagle is a terrifying predator, a tier above the ghost squid, with vision 30 times sharper than a human's. Because of this, its hunting is so precise that it almost never misses its mark. Lin knew the eagle's abilities would be insanely useful. Not to mention, it was actually the second cheapest meat available in the entire store. After eating a small piece of the meat, he only gained 1% of the eagle's essence. At this rate, he'd need 200,000 credits to fully master it. This meant he had to focus entirely on tournaments, since the bigger the reward, the tougher the challenge would be. Later at the university, the professors had the new class introduce themselves. The other girls were bold, but Shen Qinghan got super nervous, giving a really shy and quick intro. But Lin actually gave the shortest, most blunt introduction of them all. Once class ended, a student asked Shen Qing for her entrance score. She replied 709 before asking the girl that same question back. The girl, Li Zichin, said she scored 10 points lower. The girl was happy with it, though her physical exam was fairly weak at 95 points. She then asked if Shen Qing had done any better. Shen Qing thought that since it was out of 100, Li Zichin's score was actually great. Meanwhile, Shen Qing only got a 79 and was way too embarrassed to admit it. Her classmate kept pushing for the number, but Shen Qing just mumbled that her score was lower. Li Zichin guessed she maybe got a 92. Seeing his friend struggle, Lin finally decided to step in. He walked over and asked for Li Zichin's number, totally shocking her. A handsome guy making the first move? She couldn't say no. Shen Qinghan was just thrilled her friend stepped in to save her, because she was honestly starting to lose her words. Lin played it cool and snagged a phone number from another guy in the class too. He created a group chat for the four of them, advancing his mission while finally getting to know his new classmates a little better. The guy's name was Hai Yu. He came from a family of martial artists with their own dojo. He lived in a nearby city and had plenty of experience fighting in tournaments before. The girl was Li Zichin, a wealthy heiress. Trust me, you and I are going to want to see how these allies help him. Alright, you and I are about to witness what happens when a hidden genius finally stops playing nice. During a break, Hugh kicks things off by asking who everyone thinks is the absolute strongest in their class. Lai Chuxin immediately puts her money on Lin Zichin, noting he was the top scorer on the city entrance exam. That was a surprise to him, but he points out that the university actually spent a fortune to recruit 2 elites from Nan City. One of those recruited powerhouses goes by the name Wang Shuai'er. He ranked 3rd overall in Nan City and can clear 100 meters in under 8 seconds flat. The other is a monster named Lu Gang who can lift 300 kilograms with one hand. The girls are stunned, but Lin Zichin just shrugs. Before long, the bell rings and the students are handed 4 massive textbooks for each of their core subjects. Since he already mastered everything inside, Lin Zichin does not even bother cracking those books open. Instead, he scouts out a perfect hidden spot to grind his training during his free periods. Those cultists and mutant rats are still weighing on his mind. He needs to hit tier 6 to match those monster levels. A bit later, a professor starts an outdoor drill, asking if anyone knows how to start a fire with just sticks. Lin Zichin mutters that nobody uses that in real life, doubting anyone would actually bother learning such a skill. But check this out, even the teacher was surprised by what he saw from the other students. The professor is genuinely shocked, demanding to know where these kids actually picked up such a primitive technique. Lu Gang credits some holiday classes, while Wang Shuai'er claims he learned it on the internet back in elementary school. Once the duo from Nan City finishes showing off, the rest of the class starts fumbling with their own sticks. The main character takes charge, showing his classmates exactly how it is done. In the next class, the martial arts teacher sets the stage for the Nan City duo to flex again. Lin Zichin decides to keep a low profile. A month flies by, and one of the teachers announces a big test to see how much progress everyone has made. There is a catch: he is offering a cash reward for the top 3, with the biggest stack going to first place. When he sees the prize is $888, Lin Zichin's eyes light up. That is a lot of meat money. Now, you and I both know he has been hiding his strength, but for that kind of cash, he is not holding back. The test covers mechanical mods and gene fusion. An hour in, and half the class is already complaining about the insane difficulty. Meanwhile, the duo from Nan City is busy bragging, already convinced they have secured the highest scores. Their constant ego tripping is seriously getting on Hugh's nerves, but he forces himself to stay calm for now. The mechanical teacher finally shows up with the results. Shen Qinghan is just happy she managed to pass with 61 points. As for Hugh, his 88 points caught the attention of the whole class. He plays it off as luck, though he is proud of that score. Then, the teacher announces the non-duo tied with 95 points. The two of them start acting like total celebrities. They even claim they would have gotten a perfect score with 10 more minutes. Hugh just rolls his eyes at their arrogance. But then the teacher speaks up. Despite the difficulty, one student actually managed to get a perfect score. When the names are read and Lin Zichin beats them, Lu Gang and Wang Shuai'er look like they have seen a ghost. Unlike those two, the rest of the class goes wild, realizing Lin Zichin just outclassed the city's top prodigies. Our main character? He does not care about the fame. He just wants to know when he gets his prize. The teacher hands over the envelope, but finds it a little weird that his star student is so obsessed with the cash. Soon, the gene fusion results arrive. The Nan duo pulls in scores above 80, but they are still steaming over not being perfect. Shen Qinghan lands a 78, officially putting her in the top 5 of the entire class. To everyone's absolute disbelief, Lin Zichin aces it again. Lu Gang and Wang Shuai'er start shouting, claiming no one could get 2 perfect scores. But the gene fusion teacher reveals he wrote the questions himself, so there was 0 chance for anyone to have the answers early. Just like that, the 2 prodigies end up looking like sore losers. After the break, a new survival test is announced. The prize is the same, but the challenges are totally different: climbing, swimming, and starting fires from scratch. Wang Shuai'er tells his buddy that they have to win this one to get their respect and honor back. Lu Gang agrees, desperate to avoid another embarrassment, and trust me, you and I are going to want to see how this ends. Alright, you and I are jumping straight into a high-stakes climbing challenge where speed is everything. Naturally, our main character takes first place, but he is worried about his friend who finished dead last. Moving to the fire-building stage, Lin Zichin sparks his flame in record time. He was trying to lay low, but competition brings out his best, and his friend finally starts outshining the prodigies. After the survival trials, the two rivals from the nearby city are speechless, but they see the upcoming martial arts test as their comeback. Their hype only grows when the instructor reveals that this evaluation will be settled through direct duels. First, there is a warm-up to test their 3 core physical skills, including the 100-meter dash, heavy lifting, and the vertical jump, where the main character crushes every record. But get this, he is actually holding back, yet still leaves his rivals in the dust. The arrogant duo still thinks they can win the real duels as everyone moves toward the fighting ring. Because of his scores, Lin Zichin is called first, but none of the top students dare to face him. Seeing the hesitation, the teacher chooses an opponent for him. Lin Zichin wanted to stay low-key, but he didn't want to waste time, so he ended it with one single blow. Since he has to defeat everyone, he decides to make it quick, leaving the elite students shaking in their boots. Meanwhile, Hugh steps into the other ring, feeling his absolute best and ready to humble the snobby rich kids. To avoid a beatdown from the main character, Liu Gang accepts the match, thinking he can bully a weaker student, but Hugh's attacks barely leave a scratch. Liu Gang catches his opponent's leg and ruthlessly hurls him straight out of the ring. After winning, he brags that while Hugh has great technique, his own raw power is just on another level. Right after that, the main character steps up and specifically challenges Liu Gang to a fight. The big guy realizes he can't run anymore and charges in, throwing every ounce of strength into his attack. But our hero dodges effortlessly, and one heavy punch sends Liu Gang flying out of the arena. Now here is the part where the crowd starts stirring up trouble, taunting Wang Shuji to fight. Knowing his reputation is on the line, Wang Shuji accepts, hoping his high intelligence can find a weakness. Wang goes all out from the start, but the main character catches his punch with zero effort. One massive right hook sends Wang flying, knocking him out cold before Lin Zichin clears the rest of the class. He realizes his system mission won't let him fight the same person twice, but only the girls are left. Surprisingly, they all volunteer to fight him, with one girl even rushing in first. But once she enters the ring, she isn't looking for a win, she just wants a hug. Lin Zichin holds back his power but still knocks her down, instantly crushing her romantic hopes. The others try the same trick, but he clears them easily before the teacher announces a battle against the seniors. Lin Zichin was actually worried, thinking he had run out of challengers, but this news is a gift. Soon, Liu Gang vows to become his rival. Wang Shuji says the same thing, swearing he won't rest until he finally surpasses him. But the main character just ignores them both, thinking about using his prize money to buy massive amounts of meat for his cultivation. Back home, he realizes he still doesn't have enough cash. To boost his income, he follows his parents' footsteps and opens an anonymous account to start writing web novels. The next day, an editor messages him saying his work is great and they want to sign him immediately. However, a news report about a 5-meter giant rat attacking a city warehouse catches his eye. The monster was so brutal it bit a high-tech cyborg in half, but the soldier had one last move. The cyborg triggered his suit's self-destruct, taking the massive rat down with him in a massive explosion. Watching this, the main character wonders how many more of these monsters are hiding in the shadows. Stick around, because you and I are about to witness a clash between generations. Alright, you and I are about to see if raw power can beat a coordinated team strategy. Lin Zichin steps up first, eager to smash his mission objectives and prove his worth, but his opponent is a girl who claims she is the weakest, wondering why she has to face their strongest fighter. The rival teacher argues it is standard to send the weak out first, mocking Lin Zichin's class for breaking tradition. Hearing the taunts, the teacher tells our main character to stand down for now, leaving Lin Zichin walking away completely annoyed. A shy girl is chosen next, but her lack of confidence is written all over her face. Suddenly, Shen Qinghan speaks up, insisting she is the weakest student and should be the first one to start this battle. She enters the ring looking totally lost while her classmates shout encouragement to try and calm her rising nerves. The opponent rushes in, putting her on the defensive immediately. Shen Qinghan realizes she cannot win by force, so she focuses on surviving and draining her opponent's energy for 3 minutes. Deciding it was time to end the show, the older student lands a heavy punch and finally takes the victory. Though she is embarrassed by the loss, her teacher praises her for being smart enough to tire out the enemy. Lin Zichin gives her a thumbs up too, telling her that with more training, she is going to be truly unstoppable. The next student thinks she has an advantage now that the opponent is visibly exhausted, but she leaves her guard wide open during a kick and takes a brutal counterpunch instead. The rival student scoffs, telling the freshman that underestimating her seniors was a massive mistake. Li Chuqin steps up next, fueled by rage and promising to avenge her fallen friend. Unlike the others, Li Chuqin's precision pays off as she finally takes down the veteran student. The whole group erupts in cheers as Shen Qinghan celebrates her friend's big win. Even our main character admits the victory only happened because the senior was already worn down. 2 hours later, the rival teacher gloats, seeing only 4 students left, and thinking he is definitely about to win the lunch bet. But pay attention here, our teacher says the absolute best is yet to come. He introduces Yu, who is more than ready to warm up his fists and secure the win. The opponent just laughs him off, calling him a little kid who is making a fool of himself. Yu does not hesitate. He launches a lightning-fast kick that sends the guy flying out of the arena. With a smirk, he looks at the fallen fighter and asks who the real fool is now. Another challenger steps up immediately, calling Yu out for being way too arrogant. It is a quick exchange, but Yu dodges the strike and lands a crushing counterblow. He starts tearing through the roster, taking out multiple opponents until his energy levels finally start to flag. By the 6th round, he finally goes down, leaving his class outnumbered by 13 students to only 3. Now the real heavy hitters step up. Wang Shuji enters the arena and eliminates 10 opponents in a row before finally collapsing. Lu Gang takes the stage next, knocking out 2 more and narrowing the gap significantly. Seeing the momentum shift, the teacher asks his rival if he wants to surrender right now. You and I both know what happens when the rival calls in their secret weapon. Enter Wang Jinhai, a literal mountain. Even facing a giant, Lu Gang stays calm and believes he can still find a way to win. He lands a direct hit, but the giant does not flinch as his body mass absorbs the entire impact. He keeps swinging harder and harder. But it is useless. He is only burning through his own stamina. Seeing his opening, the massive giant counterattacks. He grabs Lu Gang by the neck like a toy and tosses him straight out of the ring. The rival teacher reveals that this monster is actually a recent transfer student nobody knew about. A hidden ace kept in the shadows, waiting for the perfect moment to crush the competition. Reality finally sets in for our teacher. If they lose this match, he is buying lunch for the entire rival class. He tells Lin Zichin he is up next, but not wanting to pressure the kid, says not to worry about losing. And trust me, you and I already know our main character never plans on losing this fight. Alright, you and I are about to see what happens when you judge a book by its cover. This guy thinks our main character is too skinny to even be a threat. Our hero's friends start taunting the big guy, absolutely trashing his ego in front of everyone. So, Wang Jinhai decides to get cocky. He says he will just stand there and take 10 free hits so no one can say he went too hard on a weakling. Now watch this. Lin Zichin steps up and lands one perfectly clean punch. The big guy goes flying like he is made of air. It is absolutely devastating. Everyone just stares. The supposedly top student from the rival class just got folded by Lin Zichin. The squad is going wild celebrating, while the big guy wakes up wondering what dimension he just landed in. The rival teacher can't believe it. He says the kid is incredible, almost as good as the legendary Wu Yan was back in the day. Our main character is curious, so he asks who this Wian Cheng guy is. Turns out, he is a famous senior who graduated years ago. Back when he was just a rookie, he took down a senior and became an instant legend. Just like Lin Zichin, he was a total prodigy with insane results. He acts impressed, but in his head, he has already decided that Wu Tianchonggung is not even close to his level. Later on, the teacher is so hyped about the win that he announces the rival teacher is buying everyone lunch. The class is cheering, thanking Lin Zichin for the victory. He is a local celebrity now, and everyone is dying to know what his secret training routine looks like. Shen Qinghan is being her usual helpful self, but she is low-key worried he won't have time for her anymore. One thing that definitely hasn't changed though, her constant, mysterious trips to the bathroom. But while she is there, she hears some girls talking trash, calling her a suck-up for hogging Lin Zichin's attention. She doesn't let it slide though. She tells them she is his childhood friend, not some desperate fangirl. On the walk home, Lin Zichin notices she is feeling down. She opens up about how her mom always promised things would get better. Her mom told her that once she grew up, she wouldn't have to worry about her condition anymore. But it is still happening. She still has to wear diapers to bed, and it is honestly tearing her apart inside. She is convinced she has some kind of disability because this just isn't normal. Okay, I know what you're thinking, but wait for his response. He tells her it is not a disability at all, it's actually a superpower, she just hasn't fully learned how to control yet. She is completely stunned. That's a perspective she never would have imagined in a million years. He doubles down, arguing that her incredible swimming talent is actually a direct result of this hidden power. Shen Qinghan is impressed and asks if he has a secret superpower of his own as well. Lin Zichin just smiles and says he has special abilities too. She can't wait to see it. Even without knowing what it is, she knows it is going to be something massive. Suddenly, a huge scene breaks out nearby. A man is wielding a broom like a weapon, frantically trying to chase off some local rat exterminators. He is screaming at the top of his lungs that he won't let his brothers die, and he will fight anyone who tries to hurt them. Shen Qinghan is genuinely terrified, thinking the man has totally lost his mind. They agree the guy is unstable and head home. Once there, they see a chilling news report about a young female teacher who completely vanished after leaving her job. His mom mentions she is the 4th young woman to disappear this month alone. It is terrifying. His father corrects her she's actually the 5th person to go missing. The report warns women to avoid going out alone at night, since nobody knows what is actually happening. His mom tells him to always accompany Shen Qinghan. Meanwhile, at the city police station, that crazy guy with the broom has been detained for a medical exam. The doctor's results are inconclusive. The guy hasn't said a single word since they brought him in. However, an officer says he was screaming during the arrest, so he is definitely not mute. Then, suddenly, the man starts transforming into a giant rat. The officer immediately calls for backup. They need cyborgs to handle a monster like this, and fast. The officers try their absolute best to contain the creature while they wait for reinforcements to arrive. But the report comes back, all the cyborgs are out on missions, and the police are running low on ammo. The captain decides the only option is to lure the giant rat out of the city and wait for support. They hop in a patrol car and try to draw its fire. The monster is relentless though. It slams right into their vehicle during the high-speed pursuit. The plan fails. Stick with me, things just got really dangerous for everyone. Alright, you and I are starting with a female cyborg blasting a monster just in time. Too bad the rat digs a hole and escapes. The cyborg is convinced it can't have gone far with those injuries, so there's still a real chance of hunting it down. In the middle of the night, Lin Zichin can't sleep, so he checks his novels. They're actually doing great and bringing in money. With his adrenaline pumping, he decides to go for a run to test out his newly awakened strength. He's already seeing incredible results and knows he'll hit his true potential soon. That's when he spots a rat in a dark alley. The creature is actually eating and talking to itself. Now pay attention, because Lin Zichin is stunned, wondering if this is the news rat. He thinks it's best to bolt and call the cops, but the hungry rat spots him and rushes in for the kill. Lin Zichin gets cornered by the beast and realizes he has no choice. He has to fight for his life. The rat is absolutely shocked, thinking the boy looks like just a normal student and wondering how a skinny kid like this could be so incredibly strong. Without wasting a single second, Lin Zichin grabs a rock and hurls it straight at his enemy. He knows he can't let it get close. He keeps his distance, spamming rocks to make sure the rat has no opening to attack. After taking several heavy hits, the mutated rat finally collapses in defeat. With the monster dead, he tries to absorb its essence but only finds 2% left. He's starting to see a pattern here. It might have something to do with those heretics, but for now, he heads home as dawn begins to break. Sometime later, the cyborg reaches the alley and stands there wondering who could have possibly taken down the rat. Elsewhere, a cultist appears with a captured woman, offering her up as a sacrifice to the dreaded Rat King. The king growls that one woman isn't nearly enough to satisfy him. The servant bows low, claiming there's a good reason. He explains that because of the high security alerts, there are barely any women out on the streets at night. It's getting too hard to snatch them quietly. In response, the king orders his servant to start targeting young men too. He accepts the offering and tosses a piece of meat to his follower. The servant thanks him and devours the gift instantly. After finishing the offering, the king makes it clear that he doesn't want any more ordinary people next time. He says commoners work too hard and taste bad. He wants powerful people whose easy lives make their flesh much tastier. Back with our protagonist, he is helping his friend train at home since the streets have become way too dangerous. Stick with me here. He believes he needs to push her physical limits and does everything he can to assist Shen Qinghan in her training. Once the warm-up is done, the main character tells her it's time to test her true striking power. He notices that Shen Qinghan's punching angle is perfect, and she's definitely gotten a lot stronger than before. She tries a follow-up kick next, but her friend steps in to help her correct her posture. By the end, Shen Qinghan is exhausted. She thinks 3 days a week isn't enough and asks to train every single day. Lin Zichin explains that training every day won't actually help her stamina. It'll just burn her out. He thinks it's much better to stick with their current schedule for now. Suddenly, his phone buzzes with a notification. A piece of breaking news immediately grabs both of their attention. The Mechanicus group is offering free treatment for a former genius cyborg who was left disabled after a failed youthful modification. Wait, a genius from Jing University just merged with spider genes, becoming the youngest person to ever undergo genetic fusion at 18. Usually, people wait until they're adults, or their bodies just can't take the strain, which is exactly what happened to that girl. Back at home, Lin Zichin tries to stay focused on his own path instead of obsessing over other child prodigies. His novels are actually taking off, and thanks to his unique abilities, writing top-tier stories feels completely effortless. His father sees what he's writing and pushes him to keep at it, saying he could make a fortune with that talent. The protagonist can only think about one thing though: how much high-quality meat he can buy with all that cash. Back in class, the martial arts teacher sets up some duels to see how much the students have actually improved. Like usual, Lin Zichin crushes everyone and takes home the first-place prize for the tournament once again. Meanwhile, his friend can't seem to win a single match and comes in last. However, she's fighting much better than before, and even though she's not as fast as him, she's showing real improvement. Even the teacher notices Shen Qinghan's hard work and gives her some encouragement to keep on training. He says that in 1 month, his goal is to prepare them to take down the best of the best. Trust me, you'll want to see this. Alright, stick with me because our main character is finally starting to see some cash from his novels. But a butcher trip reveals a trap 50 kilograms for a 5% discount. Because of this, Lin Zichin decides to pass. He doesn't have the cash for that kind of bulk buy yet, so he figures it's better to keep saving his pennies. The next day, a friend mentions a brand new fried food stall opening up in the college cafeteria. Naturally, they have to go check it out. The smell alone has Shen Qinghan's eyes sparkling. Grabbing a tray, she realizes they were smart to get there early because the lunch rush is already looking like a nightmare. Students are literally throwing hands just for a spot. Shen Qinghan asks for backup, but Lin Zichin just shrugs and leaves the heavy lifting to Yu. Unfortunately, the guys cutting the line aren't exactly shaking in their boots. They start grouping up, thinking there is safety in numbers. They figured nobody would have the guts to call them out. Yu is visibly annoyed, but he starts seeing exactly what these bullies are trying to pull. Shen Qinghan can tell right away that Yu is in deep trouble. That is when Lin Zichin steps in, telling the punks to get to the back of the line. One bully just laughs, asking what he is going to do about it. Lin Zichin just flashes his phone. He has caught everything on camera, and he is ready to report them to the dean. That shuts them up fast. He realizes even a small thing like cutting in line can absolutely wreck a person's reputation if they get caught. Now pay attention here. Far across the city, the heretic leader is getting a report that Shang was taken out after losing his mind in the marketplace. He introduces a new face to the group, a young recruit who is stepping up to take over Shang's old duties. But here is the kicker: the Rat King is done with commoners. From here on out, they are setting their sights on the rich and the powerful. The others are not so sure about this. They argue that the elite are harder to kidnap, and when they do go missing, the heat from the cops is insane. The leader has an answer: start with their kids. Targeting the children of the powerful is way easier than going after the parents themselves. He tells the newcomer not to aim too high just yet. His first mission? Snatch up some ordinary young people from the middle class. The recruit accepts, swearing he will hunt down the city's finest youth as a tribute to the Rat King. Back at school, Yu is venting about how arrogant those elite class students have become lately. Lin Zichin reminds him that high grades do not make someone a good person. Just then, a news report on the television catches his eye. A fifth wealthy child has vanished without a trace. No ransom notes, no calls, just another person gone into thin air. Everything points to that heretic cult. But there is no time to dwell on it because the tournament day is finally here. Small world, right? Those line cutters from the cafeteria are on the rival team. It does not take long for them and Yu to start trading insults. Same as before, Shen Qinghan is the first one to step into the ring for their class. She tries to hold her own at first, but her opponent's raw power is just on another level entirely. It is a total blowout. Her classmates, including Lin Zichin, are getting wiped out by this same fighter. Finally, a girl from Lin Zichin's class secures a win, mostly because the rival fighter was already gassed from previous matches. But then a senior from the other side enters the ring. In under 10 minutes, he crushes 9 opponents back to back. On Lin's side, it is looking grim. Only he, Yu, and 3 others remain. Meanwhile, the rival class still has 36 students ready to throw down. Let us be real, the math is bad. Their teacher is actually starting to lose all hope. He notices the other team still has 6 girls left and asks if Yu can sweep them. Yu just grins and steps into the spotlight. He thinks 6 is a joke. Honestly, he is disappointed he does not get to fight even more pretty girls today. He backs up the talk too. He clears those 6 girls without breaking a sweat. Now it is time for the real test. Yu faces one of the guys from the cafeteria and tells him that being oblivious to danger is a mistake. However, the opponent lunges. His speed and strength catch Yu completely off guard. He starts mocking Yu, saying he gave up way too easily. Yu tries to fight back, but he just cannot keep up with this guy's pace. It is over quickly. Yu is defeated, realizing he completely underestimated just how strong this guy actually was. With the win in his pocket, the bully turns to Lin Zichin. He calls him a meddler and dares him to finally show some real courage. Lin Zichin does not hesitate. He steps into the ring, knowing this is the perfect chance to make some progress on his system mission. The crowd is screaming for Lin. Everyone hates a line cutter. This just pisses off the opponent, who charges in with everything he has got. Lin blocks the blow. You and I must see what happens next. Alright, you and I are about to watch a total underdog humble the most arrogant guy in school. The loser's friends are stunned, whispering that one of the top 5 fighters in class just got tossed like trash. Lin Zichin's teacher realizes the truth: the kid was hiding his power and hadn't even landed a direct hit yet. His classmates are losing their minds, but Lin Zichin is already looking for his next victim. Fear settles over the crowd, and nobody wants to step up. But the tournament isn't over yet. 30 minutes later, Lin Zichin has wiped the floor with 29 rival students. Yet, his system says the mission progress is still crawling. He figures out that fighting last is actually a huge mistake. He faces too few opponents this way, so he decides it's time for a change. The next day, he asks the director to set up a massive tournament where every class can challenge him for a big cash prize. After pitching the idea, Lin Zichin leads the director straight to the gym. She is completely lost, asking why they are there. He just tells her he needs to prove his strength. Startled, the director thinks he's just going to flex his muscles for her. But watch this, he shocks her by casually deadlifting 700 kilograms. The director immediately sees the truth and realizes Lin Zichin is the strongest student she has ever encountered. Impressed, she agrees to organize the high-stakes tournament he requested. He reminds her that the reward needs to be massive, or no one will be brave enough to fight. She promises to handle the details and make sure the rewards are worth the risk. He also asks her to keep his true power secret, so people actually feel motivated to challenge him. Later, she calls in the martial arts teacher to explain the new event, leaving him completely baffled. He notices the director, who usually walks the halls with a terrifying expression, is treating Lin Zichin with unusual respect, and he just cannot understand why. Regardless of his confusion, it doesn't take long to get the tournament ready. Since he is still a mystery, the director introduces Lin Zichin and explains the rules to the student body. Most students think the idea is a joke. To them, Lin Zichin is just some cocky rookie with zero real skill. Ignoring the insults, he announces that his open challenge starts tomorrow. He will be in the gym for 2 hours every day, and anyone can come get these hands. Switching gears to the city, we see a young man walking until he is stopped by 2 gorgeous girls who invite him out for a drink. However, the young man rejects the invite. He is actually searching for handsome men, but he's frustrated at not finding anyone who fits the profile. Trust me, he's not dating, he needs a sacrifice for the rat god. This guy is a heretic in disguise, out on a dark mission that has been a total failure so far. He knows his deadline is almost up and he's starting to lose hope. But then, right in the middle of his panic, he sees Lin Zichin running nearby. The heretic realizes this young man fits the profile perfectly and decides he has finally found the prey he was looking for. All he has to do now is bag him. He follows Lin Zichin into a dark, dead-end alley. He thinks since they are totally alone, this should be an easy capture. As he transforms into his rat form to hunt, he gets hit square in the face with a brick. The rat is totally dazed and completely disoriented. Lin Zichin is annoyed that a dirty rat is interrupting his workout, and he's not about to let it slide. The stunned rat can't believe it. Why in the world is he so unlucky today? Lin Zichin notices the creature isn't fighting back and wonders if a single brick really ended the fight. Regardless, he doesn't want to waste any more time and decides to absorb the rat's energy for himself before anyone else shows up. As he does, he realizes why the thing was so weak. It only had 1% monster essence. Lin Zichin concludes it is probably safer to stop running at night. Even though that rat was weak, he doesn't want to run into a stronger monster too early. Arriving home, he sees some shocking news breaking on the television. The news reports that the city's security headquarters, in a joint operation with an instructor from the university's Evolution Institute, has finally taken down the rat cult. The hero who killed the Rat King is Wu Tian, a high-level biological geneticist. The entire raid took only 30 seconds. The rats didn't even stand a chance. Seeing this, Lin Zichin realizes exactly how powerful someone at a high level can be. Meanwhile, a comrade asks Wu Tian if he knows where the professor is. Tian Chung says he doesn't know, adding that besides the professor, the group of experts sent to contain the outbreak in the source zone is also still missing. And that's where we leave it. The mystery is just getting started. Trust me, you and I are about to see him treat these monsters like trash. Tian's partner notes that the Rat King, the beast that paralyzed the whole city, was just a pathetic rodent compared to his genius. He suggests that Tian take the chance to lecture at their old university, but he refuses, saying he's too busy to deal with freshmen. Later on, deep inside a dark underground cave, the Rat King gets a scolding for eating high society humans and blowing their cover. His master explains he only let the rats breed to dig tunnels, but the beast ruined the plan by attracting a swarm of hunters. Now, the master says the Rat King is useless and deserves death. Shaking, the rodent begs for mercy and one final chance. The ogre agrees to think about it, but warns that mercy always comes with a heavy price tag. He admits that, despite the stench, rats taste pretty good. He also praises the Rat King for using a decoy while hiding in the shadows. But the threat is clear: if that tunnel isn't finished on time, the rat is finished too. Back with Lin Zichin, he notices everyone on campus thinks he's a stuck-up jerk. His reputation is getting pretty wild. His focus is entirely on the fugitive heretics. There are massive bounties on their heads, but Lin Zichin knows he needs to stay low-key and puts the hunt on hold. Alright, here's where it gets wild. Stick with me as he heads to the gym for the big tournament. Shen Qinghan announces the rewards participation prizes like consoles and phones, plus a massive cash prize for the ultimate champion. The guys are hyped. They want the prizes, sure, but they also want any chance to get close to Shen Qinghan. But the first challenger is a girl, and she's not alone. A whole line of girls wants to get close to Lin Zichin. To them, just managing to land a single touch on him would be more than enough. Lin Zichin finds the whole thing weird. He's really not a fan of getting into fights with girls, but for the sake of the mission, he makes an exception and knocks them out gently. Still, they keep coming back for more. Lin Zichin makes it clear he won't fight someone he's already beaten. The girls are upset since they just wanted more time with him. Just then, some jealous bullies show up, looking to vent their anger and take our boy down a peg. But Lin Zichin destroys everyone who dares to step in the ring. Coldly, he just asks who is next. A guy steps forward from the crowd. Everyone recognizes him, Yan Shixuan, the king of the second-year elite class. A year ago, Yan Shixuan wiped out an entire class in a tournament, making him an absolute legend on campus. Now, he wants to prove he's still the top dog by crushing Lin Zichin in front of everyone. He brags that no matter how strong the main character thinks he is, there's always a bigger fish in the pond. Lin Zichin thinks this guy talks way too much. He decides it's time to end this little speech now. You and I saw that coming, right? One punch, and that loudmouth is officially out of the picture. Seeing a high-tier student get dropped so easily sends shockwaves through the entire crowd. But for the university's #1 martial arts student, this is just a prime chance to prove his own strength. Chen Wuxing challenges the protagonist and begins a long speech, but Lin Zichin just asks the teacher if they can finally start the fight already. The teacher signals. Furious at being ignored, Chen Wuxing lunges forward and strikes first. Their fists clash. Lin Zichin takes the hit like a wall, but his opponent, not so lucky. Watching the school's strongest fighter get crushed like that leaves the entire crowd speechless. Lin Zichin tells them to stop staring and points at a random student to be his next victim. The kid steps up just to win a participation prize, knowing he stands no chance. Even while holding back, Lin Zichin finishes him with a single blow. Seeing the pattern, other guys start lining up for the free stuff, fully prepared to take their loss like a champ. After wiping out a massive line of students, Lin Zichin finally hits the 1,000 win mark and finishes his system mission. Mission complete. He gets a simple but deadly bonus that massively boosts the raw damage of every single strike. With the mission done, he pulls out of the tournament and walks his friend out of the gym. Later, the director congratulates him for officially becoming the #1 martial artist at the university. She points out that he beat Chen Wuxing with a single hit, concluding that Lin Zichin has been hiding his true strength since the start. She notes that she watched Chen Wuxing lift 690 kilograms with her own eyes during his recent admission exam. So what do you and I think? Is Lin Zichin hiding even more power? Trust me, we're about to find out. Alright, you and I are diving back in with our protagonist asking about his tournament prize money. The director realizes Lin Zichin is purely money motivated, but she transfers the cash to him right away anyway. She also confirms that from now on, he will be the star representing the university in martial arts tournaments. But the main character claims he and his friend love swimming, asking if they can use the campus pool together. He even asks for exclusive, anytime access to the pool. Since he is such a big deal now, the director actually agrees to his request instantly. Lin Zichin makes an excuse. He claims he is too shy to wear a swimsuit around others, and asks for the security cameras to be disabled. The director worries that leaving a young couple alone in a dark pool is dangerous, wondering if he has some hidden motives for this. Despite her concerns, she agrees. Handing him the keys, she says they now have full control over the pool, but she asks Lin Zichin to be responsible while using the facility. Leaving the office, our hero realizes he can finally test the limits of his friend's mysterious new capabilities in private. Meanwhile, Shen Qinghan says she has a small favor to ask. She explains she entered a singing competition and needs a partner to practice a duet. She asks for his help, and he agrees. Our protagonist notices she is finally taking more risks and hopes these competitions will help build her confidence. A bit later, he heads over to Shen Qinghan's house to start their practice session. Inside, the girl's father asks his wife if it is okay to leave the two of them alone in her room. His wife, Xu Rong, says they are just childhood friends and tells him there is absolutely no need to worry. Back in the room, the protagonist decides they have practiced their singing enough for today. He suggests she study her college subjects for a bit, reminding her they head to the pool tomorrow for training, so she better not forget her swimsuit. Shen Qinghan promises she will remember. But once she is alone, she starts stressing over what to wear, torn between something modest or something more revealing. Either way, she knows the pool will be empty except for Lin Zichin, so she figures she does not need to worry. Now pay attention, because the next day at the pool, the cameras are all covered up just like he asked. It is go time. Just then, his friend arrives for practice. She apologizes for taking so long to change. Lin Zichin acts cool, but inside, he is totally melting over how cute she looks. Feeling embarrassed, he suggests they dive right into the training immediately. They both perform a beautiful dive, but Shen Qinghan feels something strange and tells him she needs to surface. They climb out of the water together. When he asks what happened, she explains that the water is passing through her body. She tries to cup some water, but the liquid literally flows right through her hands, leaving her completely baffled and confused. Terrified, Shen Qinghan asks what on earth could be happening. You and I both know it is her powers. Lin Zichin realizes this and asks to see her hand. Everything looks normal except for the water passing through her skin, so he decides he needs to check if this is happening to her entire body. A moment later, Lin Zichin starts splashing a little water onto every part of his friend's body to test it. However, Shen Qinghan begins feeling a bit awkward and asks if this is going to take much longer. After finishing the tests, he concludes that her hands are the only parts that seem to have this strange ability. She mentions that since childhood, she has had trouble holding it in when she needs the bathroom, wondering if it is related. He thinks that is possible. He tells her to try and feel for herself which parts can hold water, thinking to himself that he barely avoided acting like a total creep. Shen Qinghan reflects that she is not sick at all, but actually a user of some kind of water-based power. She imagines that if this is true, she might finally be able to stand by his side as his perfect partner. Later on, Lin Zichin heads back to the market, asking to buy 50 kilograms of fresh eagle meat. The saleswoman tells him that for such a massive order, she can have it delivered directly to his front door. Recognizing him from before, she assumes his family must be incredibly wealthy to buy this much meat. She even asks him to rate her service with a review. His prize, money, and salary finally let him afford the meat. He uses the discount and buys the 50 kilos. Stick with me, it gets even crazier. Alright, you and I are watching him finally absorb that vital energy. His system alerts him 100% Tyrant Eagle Essence complete. He just unlocked a god-tier attribute, the Celestial Eye. This ability supercharges his vision. Now, Lin Zichin literally has the sight of an apex predator, seeing better than any human. Testing his power, he zooms in from a skyscraper and reads a phone screen kilometers away. This is beyond useful. He concludes that this new sight will be a total game-changer. Back home, the news is grim. A third-generation Genifier just mutated in public, causing hundreds of tragic casualties. Some researchers argue that gene fusion is a dangerous and wrong path, believing that monster genes should never be combined with human ones. However, others claim martial arts alone cannot stop powerful monsters, and that they must fight fire with fire to survive. Lin Zichin's father agrees that Genifiers are like ticking time bombs that often cause massive disasters. His wife, Jiang Wangxin, says he is worrying over nothing. These genes are restricted, so not just anyone can access the technology. She notes the only downside is that Genifiers lose the ability to have children of their own. They need to become parents before the procedure, otherwise they will never be able to reproduce later on. Seeing her son has arrived, Jiang Wangxin gets embarrassed for discussing such adult topics in front of him. Quickly changing the subject, his parents tell him it is finally time for dinner. At the table, Lin Zichin mentions a singing competition tomorrow where his close friend will be performing. His parents insist they go watch, since Shen Qinghan is basically family. The next day, the big competition finally begins. While his parents cheer from the audience, Lin Zichin helps his friend with her makeup in the dressing room. Right then, Shen Qinghan asks why he is staring at her so intensely. Lin Zichin simply says she is beautiful, a reply that makes Shen Qinghan blush like a total tomato. Lai Chujian shows up out of nowhere and jokingly asks if they are finally done flirting. Shen Qinghan denies it immediately. Lai Chujian tells them they basically look like a couple and should stop hiding their feelings. She explains she just stopped by to remind Shen Qinghan to get on stage, then leaves to let her friend prepare. However, Shen Qinghan is now getting incredibly nervous about the performance. She tells her friend she cannot hold it together. Crying, she despairs and asks what to do now. She laments that after all her practice, another last-minute accident has happened, and all her effort is in vain. Lin Zichin comforts her, asking her to stop crying before she completely smudges all of her makeup. He spots the classroom curtains and gets a wild idea. Pay attention, because what he does here is actually genius. Quickly, Lin Zichin fashions a brand new dress and tells his friend to go change in the restroom. Shen Qinghan says that would make her late, so she asks him to just turn around while she changes right there. He is a bit embarrassed but does as she asks. Once the new dress is on, she tells him he can turn back. She thanks him for going to so much trouble for her sake, saying she feels encouraged and will not cry anymore. Lin Zichin tells her to get on stage and absolutely rock it. Surprisingly, Shen Qinghan is not fazed by the huge crowd and sings more beautifully than ever. Thanks to her brilliant performance, she wins the entire competition, making her friend Lin Zichin incredibly proud. Soon after, someone enters and demands to know who cut the curtains. The next day, he is stuck on cleaning duty. Suddenly, the system dings 1,000 daily tasks done. Let us see what this socializing monster attribute actually does. Speaking of socializing, his friend becomes an instant celebrity after winning the big contest. Besides making new friends, the victory boosts Shen Qinghan's confidence, and she bounces back stronger than before. She proves her strength in following competitions, while Lin Zichin becomes the martial arts captain, leading his university to victory. Because of his fame, he signs a major advertising contract for his friend Hugh's family dojo. The ad money plus his writer's salary gives him a great idea. It is finally time to unlock a new skill. Without wasting any time, our main character heads straight to the market. This time, he buys hidden dragon meat, a beast famous for its stealth. By reaching 100% assimilation, he gains the power. Now he has perfect camouflage. You and I are going to love what happens next. Trust me. You and I are diving into a world where this attribute works for both offense and defense. While walking home, he witnesses a woman being arrested and happens to bump into an old acquaintance. It is Senior Jiang Kai, but our main character immediately notices something shocking. His legs are now mechanical. Kai explains that after failing his university exams, a motorcycle accident forced doctors to amputate both his legs. Fortunately, he joined the Deos Mecha Group Modification Program and walked away with a brand new set of limbs. He also reveals that the arrested woman was a shadow of the heretics, the final one of the 9 remaining. After sharing that, Kai says his goodbyes to Lin Zichin and heads off. The main character reflects on how, unlike the local police force, the Deos Mecha Group actually handled the mutant rats. He realizes he should never underestimate them again. Just then, his mother calls, and he promises he will be home soon with the birthday cake. Lin Zichin and Shen Qinghan were born only one day apart, so their families always throw a huge joint party. This time is special since they are both turning 18. After they blow out the candles and exchange gifts, a sudden earthquake violently interrupts the celebration. Watch closely, he senses that something very abnormal is happening right now. Meanwhile, deep beneath the surface, the rats are busy digging their massive tunnels. News of the city tremor spreads fast, but luckily, it did not cause any serious accidents. Lin Zichin knows this tremor is rare for his city, and he quickly deduces that only a massive subterranean monster could have caused it. Either way, he goes to school with his friend as usual. Shen Qinghan admits she feels nervous about becoming an adult and all the coming changes. Meanwhile, Lin Zichin has saved enough cash to assimilate the void eel energy, unlocking a powerful new special ability. He can now sense any hostility nearby and even gauge the specific threat level of every enemy creature. After the power-up, he heads to the local mall to put his new capabilities to the test. But as he walks around, he only senses ordinary people nearby. Not wanting to waste the trip, he starts considering which monster meat he should buy next. He spots some undead worm meat, but the price is way too high for his current budget. I know what you are thinking, he needs way more money to hit 100%. Meanwhile, in a distant office, Yuan Dongji, the vice principal of Shanghai University and provincial education head, receives a status update on the region. She thanks her assistant for the hard work, noting that things have stabilized enough for her to finally start reviewing the new student admission exams. For now, she decides to end the meeting, reflecting on how long it has been since she last took a disciple. The upcoming entrance exam lasts 9 days. On day 1, students tackle a written exam in the morning followed by a physical assessment that afternoon. From the 2nd to 8th day, everyone is sent into a forest where they must survive for an entire week. Then, on the last day, they undergo aptitude tests for gene fusion and mechanical modifications. Back to Lin Zichin. Exam day has arrived, and he is ready to show what he can do. Unlike him, his friend is a total nervous wreck, praying that no more accidents happen during the high-stakes tests. However, Lin Zichin comforts her, pointing out that her theoretical knowledge is excellent, and she is definitely prepared for any unforeseen events. Shen Qinghan promises to give it her all, and tells her friend he better do the exact same thing. Soon, he finishes his written test way ahead of schedule and starts getting bored. As soon as he steps out, he wonders how Shen Qinghan managed her own test. He catches her in the hallway, and she says she did well, but she is in a huge hurry to get to the restroom. Not long after, Lin Zichin takes his physical assessment and manages to lift 950 kilograms while acing every other exercise. It is truly a legendary performance that shocks the other students. Meeting Shen Qinghan again, Lin Zichin asks how her physical test went. She says she was slightly above average across the board, but it is nothing compared to his monstrous results. Lin Zichin tells her she is one of the top female students and will only get stronger. Right then, Hugh finds the pair and reveals that the written exam results are out. He managed to score a solid 80 points on his test. Shen Qinghan checks and sees she got an 82, while with zero surprise, Lin Zichin got a perfect score. His friends celebrate. As they head out, Shen Qinghan mentions that the forest test begins tomorrow. She can only imagine the dangerous challenges waiting for them. Lin Zichin tells her he will be close by, promising to protect her no matter what. Meanwhile, a masked man confirms the forest trial starts tomorrow. You and I are about to see if these 10 geniuses can actually survive what is coming. He hands over a box with 10 demonic seeds. He claims they'll be a massive help. The masked man hints that if the officer succeeds, he might be recommended to the upper echelons. However, the officer says he's in no rush and really just needs an anomalous fruit right now. The masked man says that fruit helps you evolve, but joining their group would let you evolve far beyond your imagination. Finally, he states it's much more advantageous to become an official member than to try and evolve all alone. Stick with me, we're about to watch our protagonist and his friend catch a bus to the forest test site. Shen Qinghan sleeps for almost the whole trip. When they finally arrive, the instructors start explaining the ground rules. Point plates are scattered everywhere. Students can quit anytime they want, but doing that results in immediate elimination. There are mutant beasts too, but those are only for the most brilliant candidates. The others are warned not to confront them if they want to pass. Cameras will monitor the entire test. Out of the 100,000 candidates, only 50,000 will actually be approved. One student tries to buy his way in, but the instructor warns him that forming teams is strictly forbidden. Now pay attention, she clarifies there's no rule against students helping each other or even stealing from one another. After the briefing, several girls try to team up with the protagonist, but he ignores every single one of them. That's when another student approaches and asks if he can buy some food from Lin Zichin. The protagonist says he doesn't need the money and simply shares some of his food for free. The student, Hong Jumping, says he can't take it for nothing. In return, he asks to form a team with Lin Zichin. The protagonist refuses, saying he's not interested. Faced with the rejection, the young man thanks him and goes on his way. Shen Qinghan notices the food stalls nearby and wonders why that boy approached Lin Zichin instead of just buying some. Lin Zichin explains the boy's real interest wasn't him, it was the beautiful girl standing by his side. Regardless, he says it's time to get started. He wants to get a head start before the competition heats up. To help his friend find her rhythm, Lin Zichin decides to stay on the outskirts at first, choosing to look for easy plates before heading into the deep forest. Using his special eyes for long-range vision, he spots a plate high in a tree and tells Shen Qinghan to go grab it. His friend celebrates the win. Soon after, he spots more plates nearby, and together they quickly scoop them all up. You saw that coming, right? In the middle of their excitement, Hong Jumping reappears, acting like it's a total coincidence. He claims to have 28 points and says he wants to repay the food favor by sharing his plates with them. Lin Zichin realizes the boy is just trying to get closer to Shen Qinghan and wants to force a team-up. The protagonist repeats that he's not interested in teaming up, though he's happy to accept the free plates the boy offered. Hearing this, Hong Jumping loses it. He tries to attack, shouting that the protagonist is finally crossing the line. Lin Zichin doesn't disagree, but he's also not going to let himself get hit by a guy like this. He simply knocks the attacker down and leaves him in the dirt, walking away with all the plates. They head deeper into the forest hunting for more plates. Along the way, he even teaches his friend how to hunt wild boars with a makeshift bamboo weapon. Besides the meat, they also gather some wild fruit. Together, they defeat a few participants who try to ambush them. When they get tired, they set up camp to rest. Sometime later, they finally reach the mutant beast zone located right in the center of the forest. However, Shen Qinghan notes they might have arrived too late. There are absolutely no beasts in sight. She says if they'd arrived earlier, they could have earned a genius title by taking down a mutant beast. The protagonist tells her not to worry. To him, a title like that doesn't really mean much. He decides it's better to return to the main trail. Besides, with so many cameras around, he wouldn't be able to absorb the beast's essence anyway. Once the combat assessment ends, the gene fusion compatibility test begins right away. The students are taken to the research island and told to form a line at the entrance. One by one, they're evaluated. Shen Qinghan asks if those reagents are what they use for the tests. He confirms it, explaining their genes from a giant cloud jellyfish. It has high human compatibility, making it perfect for testing. And that's where we leave it. You and I are about to see if their blood actually survives the fusion. Alright, you and I are about to see if these candidates are actually compatible for fusion. When his turn came, Hugh hoped for a match so he could get those mechanical modifications he wanted. Lai Chuxin mentioned that she heard mechanical fusion is incredibly painful and definitely not for her. Either way, both of them were just praying they would pass the test. Shen Qinghan was the first to go, and later, the group waited anxiously in the lounge for the results. The main character overheard some students cheering while others were devastated by their low scores. He knew the top genius from Jingdu University hit 16%, so he expected to beat that at least. His friend, however, was absolutely losing it with nerves. He tried to calm her down, but he knew if she failed, they could not go to school together. Suddenly, Li Chuxin sees a 10% score while He Yu gets 11%. Lin Zichin says theirs should be up. But his friend is paralyzed with fear, already convinced she's failed. He checks his first and sees 15%. She cheers, thinking he must be the highest in the entire province. He's disappointed though. It's lower than expected, proving physical strength is not the only factor for fusion. Now pay attention here, because he is about to force his friend to finally face her own results. Terrified, she begs him to look for her. When he does, his jaw practically hits the floor. He can't believe it. His friend actually beat him. Shen Qinghan hit 21%. Later, at the provincial education headquarters, the vice director is busy analyzing the data from the recent exams. She spots Lin Zichin's 15% and is impressed, thinking it might be the top score this year. Director Bai gets a pat on the back for having a star student, but then, one result stops everyone cold. They stare at Shen Qinghan's numbers, wondering if a 21% score is even humanly possible. Even Director Bai is stunned. She bet on Lin Zichin, not his friend. The vice director demands to know who she is. Bai admits that Shen Qinghan's performance is usually just average, and she suspects there's some kind of glitch. Hearing that, Yuan Dongji decides she is going to investigate this anomaly in person. Back on the island, Shen Qinghan is convinced the test was wrong, but her friend knows better. He explains she has a natural affinity for water, and that giant jellyfish beast they used was an aquatic type. She asks if she's some kind of water attribute genius. He confirms it, and she finally starts to relax. Okay, watch closely. Because someone legendary just decided to crash the party on top of a giant wave, the students immediately recognize the newcomer as Yuan Dongji, the dragon woman, and they are absolutely terrified. Staff members welcome the vice director with honor. She is from the Yuan clan, famous for fusing with dragon genes. Yuan Dongji walks right up to Shen Qinghan, leaving the poor girl trembling in fear. She demands 3 blood samples for testing. Afterward, her friend asks if she is okay after losing so much blood. She says she's fine, but a researcher immediately calls her over for something else. Inside the office, Yuan Dongji delivers the news. The results are real. Shen Qinghan's compatibility is undeniable. Cutting straight to the chase, Yuan Dongji invites the girl to become her personal disciple. Shen Qinghan is speechless. The vice director promises that if she accepts, she will soon be riding waves, too. It's all too fast. Shen Qinghan says the offer is sudden and asks for some time to think. Yuan Dongji pushes harder, mentioning she's the head of the institute and the city university's vice director. As her student, Shen Qinghan would get a direct pass into the prestigious institution. The pressure is too much to handle. The girl caves in, and the vice director asks for her number. She hands it over, realizing she's already lost control of the situation. Yuan Dongji mentions she has another disciple who started 10 years ago but is around the same age. She tells her new disciple to treat the other girl like a sister and sends a photo, mentioning that the two of them will meet in person very soon. When Shen Qinghan looks at the screen, she freezes. It's her old classmate, Bei Shuer. She tells her new master she already knows her, and Yuan Dongji is surprised by the coincidence. Shen Qinghan explains they were classmates years ago before the girl suddenly transferred, but the vice director finds that hard to believe. Trust me, you and I are about to see just how deep this secret goes. All right, stick with me because we are about to see if this new master can uncover the girl's hidden secrets. After running a full physical analysis, Yuan Dongji mentions that the girl's body actually seems almost too normal. Despite the strange readings, she promises to keep Shen Qinghan's true results a complete secret. In the official records, they will list a compatibility number much lower than the real one for her own protection. Now that they have swapped contact info, the vice director finally dismisses her brand new apprentice. As soon as Shen Qinghan leaves the room, Yuan Dongji calls her father to inform him she has taken the girl as her disciple and found out she is friends with Lin Zichin. Her father is clearly pleased with the update, claiming the two of them are destined for great things and that it is good to keep them close, but asks that no one else find out. Now, pay attention here, because even our main character finds it strange how quickly his friend was recruited by a top-tier master. However, he decides not to stress it and just tells her to act natural for now. He promises he will always be nearby to protect her, just before they meet up with their waiting mothers. The two families get ready to head to a restaurant to celebrate their children's big success. Once they arrive, they toast to their huge accomplishment before each family eventually heads back home. That night, the main character's mother answers the door and asks if Shen Qinghan is staying over again. Looking embarrassed, Shen Qinghan explains she did not just come over to sleep at her friend's place, but to discuss something important in person, and the mother lets her in, finding her shyness totally endearing. Once inside, Shen Qinghan goes straight to Lin Zichin's room to talk about her new master, Yuan Dongji. She explains that her master analyzed her body, but found absolutely nothing different from a normal human. More importantly, the master never discovered that her body is actually impervious to water. Lin Zichin finds this bizarre since Yuan Dongji has such legendary control over water that she should have noticed. The main character realizes his friend's body is even more mysterious than it seems, but tells her to keep quiet. He explains that while getting stronger is great, it is even better to keep their secrets between themselves. Okay, I know what you are thinking, but check this out. She found a photo of another disciple who looks like their classmate. The main character recognizes the face but notices that the person's aura in the photo is totally different. He asks her if she has any idea where that specific photo was taken. Shen Qinghan says she has no idea, but her master replies via message, revealing the place is called Yuandi and she will learn more later. Hearing this, the main character concludes that it is probably best if they are not too hasty right now. Then Shen Qinghan lies down on his bed and asks if all men like women who wear tight dresses. The main character immediately wonders if her master told her that, replying that it really depends on the woman. However, Shen Qinghan pushes for a real answer, so Lin Zichin admits he actually does like women in dresses. His friend then follows up by asking if he prefers her in white or black tights. Lin Zichin is confused by the questions but admits he prefers black, and she seems to have the answers she needed. Right then, the main character's mother, Jiang Wangin, knocks on the door to interrupt them. She hands over a bag from Shen's mother, making the girl embarrassed since she did not plan on sleeping over. Jiang Wang says they are both adults and should not worry, then simply wishes them a good night. Despite the awkwardness of the situation, Shen Qinghan decides it is probably best to just stay the night. She starts checking the bag her mother sent and finds a strange item that she hides immediately. She wonders why on earth her mother would have ever sent something like that to her. Feeling flustered, she says she should change for bed, leaving the main character totally confused and clueless. Sometime later, Lin Zichin and Shen Qinghan are both accepted into the evolution course at Shanghai University. The two of them leave home on their bikes since they both signed with the Hu family martial arts dojo. But on their way to the big event, they are suddenly intercepted by a group of mysterious men. Before confirming his identity, the protagonist asks the leader who he is, and the man says he is Lu Chuanwu. He is the coordinator at Shanghai University and says he is here as a representative of the Celestial Man Pavilion. And trust me, you and I are about to see how this group's hatred for modifications changes everything for our hero. You and I are about to meet a group famous online, though many haters call them total frauds. Lu Chuanwu tries recruiting our main character. Lin Zichin refuses, but the leader pushes, offering a high-tech phone just for a quick chat. During their talk, Lu Chuanwu reveals his pavilion researches ways to unlock pure human potential without using any weird genetic mods or monster DNA. They want to shatter normal biological limits and evolve into a brand new kind of peak life form. He claims they have already seen crazy results and shows the main character a video. In this clip, the leader, supposedly just a tier 9 biological rank, crushes a modified opponent with a much higher power level. Lin Zichin recognizes the loser as Wu Yuan, the beast who destroyed the rat god cult. Now watch this. Despite his massive power, Wu Yuan cannot even land a scratch. Instead, he gets dropped by a single punch. Lu Chuanwu argues that human bodies are already perfect and do not need power from other races. Lin Zichin cannot believe what he is seeing right now. Lu Chuanwu swears the video is legit with no editing and even invites the main character to watch their next fight in person. He wants to flood the internet with these clips, but the higher-ups keep blocking him. The government only wants to push genetic mods and completely ignores his traditional pavilion. So, he is finding new ways to get popular, and having a star like Lin Zichin would change everything for them. Lu Chuanwu says the current leader has reached his peak, but he believes a prodigy like Lin Zichin could go way beyond that. He even reveals the leader is actually nearly 100 years old, looking like he is 60 thanks to their training. Lu Chuanwu tells the main character to go check the Kandu encyclopedia if he thinks it is a lie. The main character digs in and finds that this body tempering really can extend a person's lifespan. He also reads that Lu Chuanwu was once a master of the Lu family, a top martial arts clan in Nanjiang province. But when gene fusion became the new meta, they could not adapt and the family fell apart. You saw that, right? His own family dumped him because he refused to follow the crowd and get modified. The main character knows Shen Qinghan would never do that, since their childhood bond is the real deal. Thinking of her, he notices Lu Chuanwu's ex-wife is none other than Yuan Dongji, who happens to be his friend's master. Suddenly, he realizes he should not underestimate this old man. Lu Chuanwu argues his youthful look is all the proof needed to show his method actually works. He claims that borrowing power from beasts means humans will never truly surpass them. Lu Chuanwu warns that if humanity does not stop this, they will eventually be wiped out by their enemies. That is why his pavilion offers a better way, and he practically begs the main character to join the cause. He believes their combined strength could finally elevate the human race to a whole new level. Lu Chuanwu thinks Lin Zichin might be the first pure human to shatter every normal rank barrier. The main character asks for more details on this body tempering. Lu Chuanwu explains the technique comes from ancient ruins, using qi and blood to harden the body and boost combat power. He adds that this method is an art form, so genetically modified people cannot use it because their blood is considered tainted. Even after the explanation, the main character is not ready to sign up and says he needs much more info before making a final decision. The leader insists that while the method is complex, a talent like his could far surpass the master. Lu Chuanwu continues, saying most people think hygiene compatibility is the only mark of a genius. But for his pavilion, those percentages do not mean a thing. After seeing the physical assessment results, he is certain Lin Zichin is the most promising student in the whole province. He even claims that unlike the girl standing next to him, Lin Zichin has the only true potential. Shen Qinghan, who had been quiet this whole time, wonders why she is suddenly catching strays. Still, the protagonist jumps in to defend her. And that's where we leave it. He takes the gift but walks away anyway. Alright, you and I are about to see if this risky 6-month trial actually pays off. He guarantees the results, even claiming his pavilion can triple the benefits of the official evolution course. Our main character is finally interested. He agrees to give the evaluation period a real shot. Lu Chuanwu is thrilled he closed the deal, but he knows this investment will cost a fortune. Then, Lin Zichin drops a heavy question. Has he ever heard of a place called Yuandi? Now, here is the part you and I should pay attention to. The owner explains Yuandi is where every single one of those mutant beasts actually came from. Lin Zichin realizes Yuandi translates to Origin Land, and humanity already knows how to get inside. He explains that all the monster meat sold in the markets actually comes from Yuandi, otherwise the supply would never be enough for everyone. He also warns that electronics fail inside Yuandi, meaning the only way to record anything is through detailed, realistic paintings. Right then, Lin Zichin finally understands where that photo came from. Suddenly, his phone starts ringing mid-conversation. It is the promoter asking when they will arrive. Lin Zichin quickly tells them that they are already on their way. He tells the leader he has to bail, but they can definitely finish this talk later. Before he leaves, the leader hands over a translated copy of the legendary blood-tempering art. It contains detailed cultivation methods, but the leader warns him that he needs to be tier 4 with enough chi before starting. Knowing the boy is almost there, he suggests using the summer vacation to study the book carefully. Lin Zichin thinks to himself that since he is already at tier 6, this should be an easy win. Later on, we see a girl training hard until Lu Chuanwu walks up to her. She looks up and asks why her teacher looks so incredibly happy. He brags that his natural charisma convinced the top student from the province's physical assessment to join the pavilion. She is definitely surprised, but she is not buying that whole charisma story for 1 second. He finally admits he offered triple the standard benefits, making her absolutely furious. Lu Chuanwu quickly tries to defend himself. He explains that he arranged a meeting with 3 wealthy women to secure the massive income they need. Switching gears, he asks her exactly how long it took her to first feel her own chi. She answers that it took about a week of training. Liu took twice as long himself, which makes him think she is a real prodigy. But she is frustrated. Ever since giving up on gene fusion to join the pavilion, she still hasn't reached her advanced form. Even after 10 whole years of dedication, Lu Chuanwu comforts her, telling her not to worry. While the process is slow, no one will doubt her strength once she hits the advanced level. She snaps back that she is already through 2 rounds of body tempering. Still, she hasn't opened 1 meridian, and she wonders if this Lin Zichin is actually better than her. The leader says the kid's stats are insane, and he is expecting a massive breakthrough very soon. Hearing that, the student decides that as his senior, she will have to show this rookie the ropes. Meanwhile, Lin Zichin starts reading the secret book at home. And yeah, I know what you are thinking. Is he really that fast? Oh, absolutely. He feels his own chi in just a few seconds. He starts with his arm, and the system pings him his body proficiency is already climbing. After a few minutes of arm tempering, he decides it is time to test his new resistance. He notices that normal blades cannot even scratch him anymore. This must be how Lu survived those brutal mutant attacks. He figures he will be unstoppable once his whole body is tempered. After several hours, he has only finished his arms, meaning a full body upgrade might take a week. Right in the middle of his training, his friend sends him a text. She tells him to come over to her house because she has a surprise waiting. Lin is shocked by a late-night invite like this, but he heads over anyway. He is led inside and told she is in her room. When he enters, he finds it weird that she is completely covered by a sheet. She says she has a surprise ready, but she is way too embarrassed to show him. He wonders what this could possibly be, but he knows Shen Qinghan well enough to know she would never do anything indecent. And trust me, you and I are definitely going to want to see what happens when he finally lifts that sheet. Stick with me, you're about to see a simple dress reveal change everything. Shen Qinghan asks if the outfit fits, and a very awkward Zichin manages to say yes. Then she gets bolder, mentioning she bought black stockings and asking if he wants a closer look. Without missing a beat, he agrees. Once she's ready, Zichin compliments her, saying she looks amazing and those stockings are a perfect match for the look. His friend notes how comfortable they are, even inviting him to reach out and feel the texture for himself. He touches them and has to admit they really are soft. Suddenly, Shen Qinghan mentions his mom left a bag outside so he could spend the night. Talk about a setup. Zichin checks the bag and realizes his mom is moving way too fast. I mean, they aren't even dating yet. Anyway, she heads off to change for bed, warning him not to peek. Soon after, they're both tucked in together. Zichin notices a really pleasant smell and asks if she did something special to the sheets. She tells him that's just her natural scent. If he doesn't believe her, he can just lean in and see. Now watch this part closely. He leans in, the mood shifts, and the two finally share their first kiss. Suddenly, Shen Qinghan feels something strange. She jumps up thinking she had some kind of accident, but notices that while she's wet, the sensation is totally different from anything she's felt before. Zichin asks if she felt a massive wave of emotion. She confirms it. Her heart was racing, and she just got way too excited in the moment. That's exactly what Zichin was suspecting. Her mysterious power is tied to her spiritual energy, and she's starting to trigger it without even meaning to. He explains that with proper training, she can learn to control this power freely. But for now, he thinks it's best they just sleep and figure out the details later on. Next morning, Shen Qinghan's mom makes breakfast and invites Zichin to join the family. He accepts, but points out his friend hasn't even woken up yet. Her dad grumbles that his daughter needs to be as disciplined as he is. Zichin stands up for her, reminding them she hit the highest compatibility rank in the entire province, so she deserves a little sleep during vacation. After finishing his meal, he says goodbye. As soon as he's gone, Shumeng whispers to her husband that she saw them both awake in the middle of the night. She asks him if he thinks their daughter is finally becoming an adult. The father agrees, and before long, the mom is calling Zichin's mother to spill all the juicy gossip. Meanwhile, Zichin gets home and decides to throw his clothes from the night before into the wash. I know what you're thinking, and yeah, his mom shows up looking thrilled, congratulating him on a job well done and leaving him totally confused. Elsewhere, a group of officials approaches pavilion leader Lu Chuanwu with some serious questions. They want to know about Lin Zichin, but Chuanwu just plays dumb like he has no idea. The man running the evolution course calls him out, accusing Chuanwu of using underhanded tricks and lies to steal Zichin away from becoming his student. Furious, Chuanwu snaps back, arguing that the evolution course isn't the only one recruiting and he's done nothing against the rules. As the argument heats up, Chuanwu defends himself, saying it was a fair offer and that the final choice was always up to the boy. His rival shouts that Chuanwu knows nothing about fairness and challenges him to a duel right there. The pavilion leader refuses, saying he's not crazy enough to accept. Their power levels are just too different. Fuming, the rival yells that there's no escaping genetic evolution before finally walking away. Still, he isn't giving up on crushing the pavilion. He knows his time will come eventually. He takes his complaints to the vice principal, but she just tells him to relax. She promises it won't be long before the boy forgets the pavilion and accepts gene fusion, but Principal Ma Jianhai insists that's not the point. In his eyes, Chuanwu broke the rules and needs to pay. The vice principal suggests a better revenge. Jianhai should go and recruit the runner-up for his own team, snatching her away from Chuanwu entirely. Convinced, Jianhai agrees to the plan. Watching him, Vice Principal Yuan Dongji thinks about her ally. She thinks about how Ma Jianhai is usually so stable, yet he totally loses his mind and goes crazy the moment he faces his rival. She also notes that after all these years, Chuanwu hasn't changed. He still has that sharp tongue. You and I can only imagine how much stronger he'd be if he actually focused. See you next time. Alright. You and I are watching a guy reject ultimate power just to stay human. Now, Lin Zichin is out running with Shen Qinghan. The girl just can't keep up with his insane stamina. Noticing her struggle, Lin Zichin hands her some water and tells her to stay hydrated. He tells her they've done enough for today and offers to help her stretch. Shen Qinghan then takes a seat on a nearby park bench. Lin Zichin starts working on her leg muscles to ease the tension. She smiles and thanks him for the help, but Lin Zichin just brushes it off, saying that a thank you is way too formal for them. Hearing that, Shen Qinghan asks if he's basically saying they're dating now. He just replies that they're more like family. That's definitely not what she wanted to hear. So, she goes for it and asks if she can be his fiancé. Lin Zichin actually agrees to it. She immediately makes him do a pinky promise to get married the second they both graduate from college. He agrees, knowing a promise like this can't be taken back. Fast forward a bit, and Lin Zichin is back home with his family. The doorbell rings, and his father gets up to see who's visiting this late. It's Principal Ma. The dad is shocked to see him, but Ma apologizes for the intrusion, explaining he needs to discuss something vital with Lin Zichin. Lin Zichin's father thinks his son already made his choice and can't understand why the principal is being so pushy. The principal hands over a fresh fish he picked up, claiming it's just a small gift for the boy's parents. With that, he makes his way inside. In the living room, Ma tells Lin Zichin that fusing with beast genes is his only real shot at a bright future. He admits the celestial human pavilion might mean well, but their theories are total junk since they haven't produced a single solid result from their research yet. He doesn't want a talent like Lin Zichin wasting time on dead-end methods and begs him to stick with genetic modification instead. Lin Zichin's mother is completely lost, thinking her son was still enrolled in the standard evolution school. Lin Zichin admits he forgot to mention it, but he's officially joined the Celestial Human Pavilion. He explains that he switched his path to pursue the way of pure human blood. His mom is terrified, but Lin Zichin insists the pavilion leader was sincere and offered him 3 times the benefits of the other school. Now, pay attention. He promises that if there's no progress in 6 months, he'll quit the pavilion and go back to evolution. Principal Ma had no idea about the rival's offer and is furious that they dangle something so tempting. He argues that triple benefits mean nothing compared to the long-term power and evolved human gains through genetic modification. Lin Zichin thanks the director for the advice but remains completely firm. He wants these 6 months to really understand the pavilion better before he considers changing his path. The director realizes the kid is stubborn as a mule. Seeing no point in arguing further, he finally gets up and leaves. The very next day, Lin Zichin checks the news and sees a report claiming the pavilion brainwashed the province's second-place student into abandoning his path of genetic modification. You and I both know who they mean. The article even brings up a past genius from Jingdu who joined the pavilion and immediately fell into total obscurity. He's now a target for everyone against the pavilion. His private info is leaked, putting him right in the sights of dangerous heretics. He's almost certain that Director Ma was the one who exposed all his personal data. He tries to fix it by filing a formal report. 2 hours later, the smear post is finally deleted. But we all know the rule. Once it's online, it's there forever. Worse yet, the pavilion's enemies are relentless. They've leaked even more of his personal data, making his life a living nightmare. That night, Shen Qinghan sneaks into Lin Zichin's room to sleep beside him. She's absolutely fuming over the lies being told, calling those people out for having zero dignity. She mentions her master has a lot of influence and might be able to help him out. But Lin Zichin hesitates. He points out the vice director is pro-modification and hates the pavilion, so she has zero reason to lift a finger for him. Shen Qinghan insists it's worth a shot anyway. 30 minutes later, her master tells her the situation is completely handled. She notices all the negative content about him has vanished from the web. It's like it never even happened. Even Lin Zichin is stunned. He can't wrap his head around why the vice director would actually help him like this. So, what do you and I think? Is this a trap? Alright. You and I are about to dive into a sweet moment as our lead finally gets a romantic kiss. Later, Lin Zichin hits level 7, finishing his full-body skin tempering. Looking at his stats, he is now officially the strongest teenager in his entire age group. After he absorbed the life essence from 9 different creatures, he felt like a modified superhuman. However, he realized that Shen Qinghan's genetic modifications would eventually make her infertile. Because of this, she needed to freeze her eggs now if she ever wanted a child through medical help later. A few days later, Shen Qinghan heads to the hospital for the retrieval process. The doctor confirms she's had her ovulation shots and tells her to come back the next day for the freezing procedure. Her friend Li Chuqing joins her at the clinic for the same procedure. Li Chuqing admits she's feeling super nervous about it all, so she suggests a shopping trip to blow off some steam and asks Shen Qinghan to come along. Lin Zichin is invited too, but he declines for other plans. While the girls have fun, he goes home to start tempering his muscles. He quickly realizes that muscle tempering is even more painful than skin tempering ever was. Spending the whole afternoon on his arms leaves him totally drained. To refuel, he eats a massive amount of food. Soon, he notices that just focusing on his right arm has already given his physical strength a massive boost. Now it's just a matter of time before he finishes his whole body. But stay with me, because Shen Qinghan just arrived. She tells him that Li Chuqing invited the whole squad out before school starts and was dead set on Lin Zichin coming. He tells her straight up that if she is going, then he is going too. The girl explains the invite is for the beach. She feels awkward saying no because she doesn't want to ruin the vibe. Shen Qinghan is actually terrified because the last time she went swimming, she started hearing those creepy, unexplainable voices. She's dreading the trip and really doesn't want to deal with that haunting experience again. Lin Zichin reassures her, promising to stay close by and suggesting they just stay out of the water entirely if needed. Now pay attention, because deep underground, an evil ogre approaches an altar. He has had the rats dig 108 tunnels and needs the masked man's blood coordinate. The masked man uses his staff to dig a hole before soaking the coordinate in his own fresh blood. The ogre explains they must wait for Yuandi to find the boundary point and place a matching coordinate on the other side. Once both coordinates finally sense each other, the tunnels will connect. Shortly after, the friend group hits the road with Hiyu behind the wheel, heading for the coast. He brags about getting his driver's license the second vacation started and even offers to hook them up with his driving instructor. Naturally, the whole crew gets excited about getting their own licenses soon. Once they hit the sand, Hiyu is the most hyped of everyone since he's got the best view. An annoyed Li Chuqing scolds him for being so hyper, then announces she's taking her friend to go change into their swimsuits. Hiyu tells Lin Zichin they should get ready since he is dying to swim. Nearby, some people recognize Lin Zichin, whispering that he's the pavilion runner-up who was supposedly brainwashed. Hiyu snaps back. telling them they have no right to judge the second-best fighter in the province. Lin Zichin tells him not to cause a scene and just move on. He Yu comments that his friend is surprisingly chill about it. Lin Zichin explains he doesn't get angry easily, but he would definitely step up if things got truly serious. Hearing that, Li Chuqing jokes that he must be talking about protecting her best friend. He Yu finally realizes his friend cares way more about Shen Qinghan than him. After changing, Lin Zichin asks to help her apply sunscreen, and she accepts. He then gently begins applying the lotion for her. He Yu watches the romance in awe and tries it with Li Chuqing, but she rejects him instantly. Meanwhile, Shen Qinghan hears those voices again. Startled, she jumps up and claims the voice is calling out from the ocean. She explains the voice mentioned the resurrection of a great god and also spoke about the mysterious Yuandi. Lin Zichin realizes they don't have enough clues yet and suggests they need to look into this much deeper. He advises her to stay calm for now, but suggests she subtly mention the voices to her master later. Later on, Lin Zichin finishes tempering every muscle and moves on to the brutal bone tempering stage. He soon discovers that bone tempering is infinitely more painful than anything his muscles or skin ever felt. He pushes through the agony and finishes. Trust me, you and I just watched him reach the edge of becoming a true advanced life form. You and I watch him evolve. To reach the next level, he needs to open a meridian, but the book he's reading is frustratingly vague. He'll have to figure this one out all on his own. A few days later, he heads out with Shen Qinghan and her folks. They visit an old spot they used to love as kids. Shen Qinghan excitedly orders a milkshake, and Lin Zichin decides to join in on the fun with some ice cream of his own. But as they're hanging out, he spots something weird. Inside a nearby bar, some guy is surrounded by a bunch of girls. A friend tells the guy to chill out, but honestly, neither he nor those girls seem interested in keeping things low-key or discreet. Since the shop window is totally clear, everyone passing by can see every single thing happening inside. Some people start gossiping, saying that girl Hanya acts like a cold goddess in her arts course. Yet, the second she gets a chance, she's throwing herself at the guys from the prestigious evolution department. Lin Zichin catches the gossip and stops to think about the situation for a second. The university is split in two. The outer campus is for arts and liberal studies, while the inner campus is reserved for martial arts and evolution students. Now pay attention, because this inner campus is totally shrouded in secrecy and completely off-limits to the public. Lin Zichin's mom mentions they'll have more freedom once classes start, but she warns them to stay away from the troublemakers. His dad pipes up, saying the two of them have been close since they were little kids, and he's confident they'll always look out for one another. Knowing parents aren't allowed inside the inner campus, they tell the kids to head on in by themselves. When they reach the gate, a guard asks for ID. Shen Qinghan goes first, and he clears her for entry without a single issue. But when Lin Zichin steps up, the guard tells him he doesn't need ID. He already knows him as the runner-up who joined Heavenly Man Pavilion. They both head inside without trouble. Inside, people with mechanical mods and gene fusions are everywhere. After the paperwork is done, the two make a break for the student dormitories. Lin Zichin walks her to her building since they're assigned to stay in separate dorms for the semester. However, on his way to his own place, a crowd of girls swarms him, begging for his contact info. Luckily, a senior shows up to rescue him and give him a tour, explaining how the student power rankings actually work. He notices two boards, an elite list with 500 names, and a freshman list with only 100 spots available. Okay, you and I know he's going to have to grind incredibly hard if he ever wants to surpass these top 3 fighters. His guide, Song Yuan, tells him the martial arts course is ranked 6th, and just like Lin Zichin, she was second best in her exams. However, Song Yuan stayed on the pure blood path and got stuck, while the gene fusion students zoomed past her. Finally, they reach Lin Zichin's new room. She points out that being a top student has massive perks, since he actually scored a private room all to himself. She mentions she's burning up from all that walking, and asks if she can use his shower to cool down. Lin Zichin mentions a spot nearby selling iced tea, and offers to buy her one as a better way to chill out. She takes the deal, accepting the tea for her help. But then, Lin Zichin sees photos of his friend's dorm, and his jaw drops. Compared to the luxury apartment she got, his private room looks like a total dump. The evolution path is clearly totally loaded. He shows her his room, but she tells him her place is huge and could easily fit them both. She invites him to move in, and honestly, Lin Zichin doesn't hesitate for a single second to accept. Just looking at those 2 dorms was enough to convince him. The evolution path definitely has all the money. Now he's wondering if his pavilion leader can actually triple those benefits like he promised earlier. Later, he arrives at her dorm. She tells him the place is nice and chilly because she's already cranked up the air conditioning. Looking at the massive space, Lin Zichin notes that her master must really think the world of her. She agrees, adding that now they can live together without any adults breathing down their necks or watching them. She heads off to shower, so Lin Zichin decides to spend his extra free time checking out the official university app on his phone. He finds a store where students can buy evolution resources using a special currency called credits. To get credits, you have to complete missions, climb the ranks, or win big school competitions. He thinks this might be easier than making cold hard cash. Suddenly, she shouts that she's done and needs him to bring her clean clothes. Wait, did she really just invite him in? Trust me, you and I definitely won't want to miss what happens in the next chapter. Alright, let's watch Lin Zichin deal with a very awkward invitation. But on second thought, he decides it would be a total waste to skip this opportunity, so he hops in to help. After the bath, our hero moves on to the second stage of his skin tempering process. He quickly learns this part is way tougher, taking 2 whole hours just for his right hand. So, he asks Shen Qinghan to borrow a needle to test how durable his skin has actually become. When the needle fails to even pierce his skin, Shen is stunned. She notes the needle actually snapped and starts thinking about the pure blood path for her own journey. Next, he decides to test his incredible fire resistance. He can feel the heat, but his skin won't burn, proving just how insane this power is. Soon after, he gets a message from the pavilion leader, stating that someone is being sent to bring him in for a meeting. Lin Zichin tells Shen Qinghan he is off to see the pavilion leader. As he heads out, he figures waiting in a tree is the best way to spot his ride. Now pay attention, this is the moment where we see just how famous our main character is starting to become among the students. The student introduces himself as a huge fan, claiming Lin Zichin might be the best they have ever seen. After the fan leaves, a woman pulls up on a motorcycle and finds our hero waiting right there. She introduces herself simply as Song Yuyan. She is a researcher and instructor sent to escort him back to the pavilion headquarters. He recognizes her name instantly, realizing she is the same famous woman who refused the evolution path, only to find herself stuck and unable to progress further. They head to the headquarters on her motorcycle. On the way, he mentions how honored he feels that such a VIP came to get him. During the ride, Song Yuyan asks why he was at the evolution dorms instead of his own room. He explains that since his girlfriend is in that course, he has been staying with her. When they arrive, she shows him the lounge area, where members can relax with unlimited food and drinks at any time. He notices the place is empty, so she explains that the pavilion is not famous and lacks resources, which discourages most of the students from joining. She reveals that besides the 2 of them, there are only 3 senior students and the director left in the entire group. Okay, I know what you are thinking. Were all those people on selection day just hired actors? Either way, he figures things will work out if he just keeps his end of the bargain. They finally meet the leader, Lu Chuanwu, who looks totally drained after spending 6 months trying to research meridians with absolutely zero progress or success. However, he believes Lin Zichin's arrival changes everything for them. He believes a major breakthrough is only a matter of time now, and hopes Lin and Song Yuyan get along since they are quite similar. He reveals that it was actually thanks to Song Yuyan's research that he managed to evolve to the 9th level. Therefore, he expects Lin's discoveries will help the group just like the seniors did. Then asks if he studied the book over the break. Lin confirms that he did, so the leader tells him that his senior will help him begin the skin tempering. However, Lin states he already finished the first stage of tempering on his own, leaving them both completely stunned. Song Yuyan finds it impossible to master such a technique solo, even with the manual. After all, it took her a long time to learn, even with professional help. Even the pavilion leader finds it hard to believe, and asks to check Lin's arm, becoming totally shocked by his current biological level and his rapid progress. Lin Zichin says he is currently at normal rank, level 5. Lu Chuanwu gets incredibly excited to be in the presence of a true genius, claiming he will definitely evolve into an advanced life form in no time at all. Song Yuyan is stunned to find someone even more talented than herself. But then, she realizes this could be the boost the pavilion needs. She suggests they publicly reveal Lin's massive potential to help raise more funds and recruit new students to the pavilion. But stick with me, because the leader says leaking this info is way too dangerous right now, and they don't need any unwanted attention stalling their progress. Furthermore, alright, you and I are about to see how a true genius gets treated in this world. Song Yuyan argues they don't have infinite funds and asks what happens if they run out of money. Lu Chuanwu promises he'll use every connection he has to ensure the pavilion never runs out of resources. He decides Lin Zichin can skip the basic classes entirely, and will personally mentor him with Si Yuan as assistant. The leader lets him know an orientation for the freshmen is coming up very soon. There's an entrance exam right after to find the freshman king, and with Lin Zichin's strength, it's his to lose. Based on his current power, the leader thinks taking that title will be a total cakewalk. He promises 10 chi pills and 10 credits for the victory. This was exactly what Lin Zichin wanted to hear, and after seeing the reward, he accepts on the spot. Finally, the day of the lecture is here. Lin Zichin waits with Shen Qinghan until that boy from earlier shows up to greet them, asking about their relationship. Lin Zichin calmly replies that she's just his close childhood friend. He says they're actually engaged and marrying after graduation, which immediately makes every other guy there turn green with envy. During the crowd noise, Lin Zichin spots a girl with cat ears that catches his eye. He's never seen anyone like her before. In any case, the boy from before is called up to the stage. Turns out his name is Lai Moyu, and he's actually the freshman class leader, even if he hasn't bragged about it. Standing at the podium, Li Moyu reveals he's the brother of the legendary genius, Lin Zichin. He's clearly been gifted with talent, already undergoing intense genetic alterations. Now, as a freshman, Lai Moyu claims he'll keep all the school's records in his family because he's just that talented. Now watch this part closely. The air literally starts to buckle under his pressure. Students find it hard to even breathe, realizing that a single freshman is capable of such an insane feat. Shen Qinghan just rolls her eyes, saying Li Moyu is a level 5 show-off. But little does he know, he's far from the strongest student here. The host then introduces the student council president, Chao Shuhong, to give a speech. Chao Shuhong takes the stage and says he has 3 big announcements. First, the student council handles discipline, not the teachers, so you better show some respect. Second, 10 strong freshmen will be recruited for the council. He expects to see some real fire. Third, on the inner campus, strength is the only thing that matters. Be ready for challenges. Before leaving, he offers a taste of an advanced lifeform's power. Just like Lai Moyu, Chao Shuhong cranks up the air pressure. Lin Zichin notices that the crushing pressure from an advanced lifeform is much more intense than the previous display. However, since he's already reached Tier 9 himself, he doesn't feel threatened by this display of power at all. Think about it, a massive arena battle where only one can stand tall. The vice principal takes the stage to announce that the freshman exam is finally beginning. The rules are simple. Everyone stays in the arena, but whoever can remain standing alone for 1 full minute will be the champion and win 100 credits. The top 10 are awarded prizes, but credits drop per rank. On top of that, every single participant will receive 1 credit point. Even if you lose, you're still walking away with a little something. Suddenly, a student grabs the microphone, startling the whole room. He shouts that he has a friend named Lin Zichin, a name everyone has probably heard. He declares his goal is to help his friend reach the top 10 against the elites. He calls for everyone to help. Since Lin Zichin is already famous, most students agree it's better to support him than try to fight him. Next, Lu Chuanwu mentions his rival is incredibly resentful, and just because he lost a fight earlier this year, he shouldn't take it out on the kid's brother. Director Ma fires back that nobody holds a grudge longer than the pavilion leader, but Lu Chuanwu claims he only hates people who actually wronged him personally. Chao Shuhong interrupts to ask how Ma's daughter did on her entrance exams. Ma says she took 3rd in Kyoto and will definitely be joining the student council soon. Chao Shuhong then asks who everyone is betting on for the title. Trust me, you and I are about to see Lin Zichin prove he's the only one worthy of becoming the new king. Alright, you and I are about to see if this unranked underdog can actually break the whole system's rankings. So, Lu Chuanwu suggests a 100 credit bet on their favorites. The others jump in, making Ma Zhenhai sweat. He only agrees because he doesn't want to look like a coward, but at the same time, he's dead certain there's no way Lin Zichin takes this whole competition. Just then, the mechanical modifications director approaches and asks if it bothers Ma Zhenhai that Lin Zichin was once his own freshman student. One look at Ma Zhenhai's reaction gives the director all the answer he needs. The leader sees the 1,000 credit pot and dreams of bragging rights once he wins. The exam officially begins and the students rush into the fray. Our main character notices the elite class only got in through high gene fusion compatibility, but the ones who are truly strong, they're staying out of the arena for now. Led by Lai Moyu and Ma Shiwei, there are 12 of them standing back. Using his danger perception attribute, he realizes the leaders are Tier 5, while the rest are only Tier 4. Inside the arena, many have already fallen. Those still standing challenge the elite students until one finally steps down, claiming that a rookie's arrogance will never lead to victory. He says he's ready to show these newbies what a real elite student can actually do. The freshmen think they can win with numbers, but they quickly discover that strategy is useless here. The elite student stands tall, boasting that absolutely no one there can take him down. Now pay attention, because this is the exact moment the elite class realizes they just picked a fight with a monster. Lu Qi introduces himself and says he's been itching for a fight since seeing the main character's results. Challenged, our protagonist prepares to fight and immediately lands a kick on his opponent, sending him flying away. The masters and directors are left completely speechless after seeing that insane performance. Another elite jumps in, but he's taken out with 1 hit just like the first guy. The weak students are hyped to see the elites getting crushed. To save face, Ma Shiwei finally enters the ring. She decides she's going to be the one to wipe out all the freshmen herself. The protagonist sees this as the perfect chance to study a genetically modified fighter up close. Ma Shiwei strikes with Shadow Cat speed, but Lin Zichin dodges, catching her totally off guard. She realizes she is no threat to Lin Zichin yet, and asks for 30 seconds to fully activate her genes before continuing. Our main character agrees, wanting to see what a modified person looks like at full power. Since she's the director's daughter, Ma Genhai's colleagues start praising him for her incredible talent. But Ma Genhai is worried. She just underwent fusion, and pushing this hard might wreck her body. Even so, he knows his daughter's competitive streak is way too strong to back down. Ma Shiwei thinks the main character is just being arrogant by letting her power up. I think you and I can agree her overconfidence is about to get a massive reality check. Regardless, the protagonist dodges easily because he's reached tier 9. He knows that someone far weaker than him simply won't be able to land a single hit. Ma Shiwei is in total shock. Even with her genes fully active, she can't land a single blow. She pushes her speed to the limit. But the frustration is mounting. The protagonist decides he's seen enough data. It's time to stop playing around. With a single punch, he strikes his opponent, causing the powerful Ma Shiwei to fall before everyone. Worried about his daughter, Ma rushes to her side. Angrily, he asks what kind of man Lin Zichin is to hit a girl with that much force. Lin says that in evolution, there's only strong and weak. Lai Moyu agrees and steps up next. As the elite class's final hope, he knows he absolutely cannot afford to lose this showdown. Lai Moyu says the protagonist is just pretending to be weak and likely hid his true strength even during the entrance exam. However, he claims that Lin Zichin isn't the only one to do so. After all, he also hid his power as he assumes his true form. He fuses with the giant demonic ape's genes, ready to unleash everything he's got. Seeing this, the pavilion leader thinks his credits are gone because this monster is just too much. Somewhere far away, a secret mission from the organization finally reaches the hands of Liu Gang. Trust me, you and I are going to want to be right here when that demonic seed finally takes root and wreaks havoc. Alright, you and I are about to see that this mysterious organization is way more powerful than anyone realized. Even the Kyoto Li family is nothing to them. After hearing that, Wang Shujie and his friend realize they're stuck. There is absolutely no way to turn down this mission. They might hate the idea, but they literally have zero other choices right now. Back at the arena, our main character knows these giant apes have insane power, but they're slow. Still, he can't let his guard down. His opponent starts trash-talking, claiming Lin Zichin's strength doesn't even come close to his. The main character strikes fast, but the guy's reaction time is actually solid. He manages to dodge a full-on tier 6 punch like it's nothing. So, Lin Zichin shifts gears. He cranks his speed and power up to tier 7, finally landing a heavy blow. But Liu isn't done yet. His defense is just as beastly as his offensive power. Looking annoyed, he says he was only warming up. Now, he's finally going to fight for real. Our hero goes in again, and while he's definitely faster now, he still can't seem to deal any real damage. Liu is slow but insanely tanky, proving to be a worthy foe. As he attacks, Lin Zichin stays calm, analyzing every move until he finds the winning path. Liu just laughs it off, saying speed doesn't matter if you're too weak to win. He's totally confident. Watch this. As Liu goes for the kill, the main character stands there and doesn't even move. Seeing this, everyone who bet on Liu starts cheering, thinking the fight is already over. But when the punch lands, crack, Liu's arm shatters from his own force. Everyone is left wondering what the hell just happened. Lin Zichin realizes his opponent literally beat himself. In his desperate greed for victory, Liu pushed way past his own physical limits. He announces that Liu's right hand is completely fractured and tells the medics to come get him. But instead, Vice Director Yuan Dongji steps in. She's clearly impressed and wants to check the student's arm herself. She confirms the fracture and starts wondering just how tough Lin Zichin's skin actually is to cause that. She even tries to read his stats, but our main character uses a special attribute to hide his true power level. After heading back, she reports he's only at tier 6. She didn't see anything unusual about the kid at all. The protagonist smiles to himself. His plan worked exactly like he wanted. After some quick medical treatment, Liu feels better and his arm heals up. Lin Zichin just tells him to get lost if he's done. Furious about the loss, Liu swears he'll get revenge the moment his gene fusion reaches the next stage. A minute passes and the main character is officially declared the winner. The common students go absolutely wild. One of their own just took down an elite student in a real tournament. After the win, the protagonist walks over to Shen Qinghan and leads her right into the center of the arena. And here's where it gets crazy. He declares that every single rank from 1st to 10th now belongs to him. The elites are livid. They charge at him, screaming that he can't just hog all the top rewards for himself. Even Mei joins in, attacking Shen Qinghan and calling her a traitor for siding with a commoner. Lin Zichin protects his girlfriend and crushes anyone who dares to challenge him. With nobody left to challenge him, he takes the top spot. He hands 2nd place to Shen Qinghan just for being by his side. As for the rest, Lin Zichin tells the crowd he'll be picking the winners himself. He starts choosing his friends, beginning with Li Chukan. Hugh gets a spot too. Ma Jinhai is fuming, claiming this is a total violation of the rules. He begs the vice director to stop him, but the pavilion leader shuts him down. He says there's no rule against it and calls Ma Jinhai a sore loser. Yuan Dongji admits it's a massive loophole. She promises to fix it next year, but for now, it's legal. She lets Lin Zichin do exactly whatever he wants. Meanwhile, a message hits Lu Gang's device. The plan has officially changed for everyone. Lin Zichin is the new target. They want him to take the pill and join their organization instead. Once the exam wraps up, the pavilion leader approaches our hero, admitting he's constantly surprised by his growth. The protagonist just reminds the leader not to forget about the promise they made. Liu Chuanwu hands over the pills and confirms he's tripled the credits. The boy can spend them however he likes. Curious, the leader asks just how much power the protagonist was actually hiding during the fight. Lin Zichin reveals he didn't just temper his skin, he did his muscles and bones too. The leader is speechless. You and I both know this kid is going places. Liu Chuanwu agrees, saying he'll definitely change the world one day. Alright, you and I are back at home with our main character as he tests out those prize pills. One pill boosts his chi by 108 points, but honestly, he thinks the effect is pretty trash. He could get that boost just by running a few kilometers. Maybe they will be more useful for Shen Qinghan. And speaking of her, the girl just arrived at the dormitory. Lin Zichin hands over one of the pills and asks for her expert opinion. It is a blood pill. After taking it, she feels a wave of warmth and a massive jump in her chi. Seeing they work way better on her, Lin Zichin just hands over the entire stash of pills. He tells her to stick to one a day. By the next morning, he is heading to the pavilion headquarters. Su Yuyan greets him there, mentioning she has heard all the latest rumors about his crazy progress. She had her doubts before, but now she is certain he is a total genius. Soon, the whole world will be shocked by him. Our main character notices his seniors are all stuck at the exact same bottleneck because none of them know how to unblock their meridians. If that is the case, he will just have to figure it out all by himself. With his celestial root of wisdom attribute active, he figures this should be a walk in the park. Song Yuan approaches with news. Someone from the student council is looking for him with a special invitation. Lin Zichin is not interested, until his senior mentions that council members get a massive monthly bonus in credits. Outside, he meets with Chao Shuhong. He invites Lin Zichin to join the student council as a presidential candidate, offering elite training for the role. Chao Shuhong promises that the perks are absolutely insane. Besides having a say in university decisions, Lin Zichin would also walk away with a huge monthly credit bonus. Now pay attention. There is one major condition he has to accept first. He must abandon his pure-blood human status and fully embrace the path of genetic fusion. The council rejects anyone who denies fusion. It would just look bad for the image they are trying to project. In that case, he is turning them down. To him, it doesn't matter what the council offers because nothing can surpass the pavilion. The council members decide he must be brainwashed. Why else would anyone in their right mind refuse an offer like that? Because of this, the council president even starts to wonder if Lin Zichin is actually the genius they all thought he was. When he tells his senior what went down, she is absolutely livid that they tried to bribe him like that. Okay, let's pause for this moment. Song Yuan jokes that the exhausted pavilion leader has been working all night, offering his own body to get investments. A bit later, Liu Chuanwu warns him that women are like tigers on the evolutionary path, just waiting to suck the soul out of him. He advises the young man to steer clear of them. He also mentions that the university provides housing for genius families, so Lin Zichin can bring his parents here. He replies that he is meeting his parents this weekend and has already brought up the idea to them. The coordinator gives Lin Zichin access to the mission system, where he can earn credits to grow even more powerful. Song Yuan mentions she grabs missions every single week and invites him to come along to see how the whole system works. Lin Zichin agrees and decides to check out the available tasks. He notices most missions are either trivial or unrewarding, and the good ones are way too far from campus. But in the middle of his search, he finally finds something interesting. Su Yuyan is shocked he took the Catwoman mission and immediately offers to help him out. Since these are public missions, he sees the team needs 28 people, and there are only 2 spots left. He notices Ma Shiwei signed up too. He thinks she is being way too bold, taking on something way above her level. Anyway, our hero heads out to grab some lunch, but on the way, he realizes a 7th-level stalker is following him. The guy confronts him, demanding to know why he punched Ma Shiwei. This guy blames Lin Zichin for everything and actually has the nerve to challenge him to a duel. Lin Zichin just asks who sent him. The guy claims he is acting alone to defend Ma Shiwei's honor. Lin Zichin just ignores him. He does not have time to waste on some random flatterer like this. The guy tries to block him, but Lin Zichin handles it in a flash and just keeps walking. At the dorm, Shen Qinghan says his 5 kilograms of undead worm meat arrived. And that is where we leave it, trust me, you are going to want to see what happens next. Alright, you and I are watching Lin Zichin play it safe by only buying 5 kilograms of meat today to avoid drawing any unwanted attention. Even so, that amount let him assimilate 10%. Then Shen Qinghan asked why he was throwing all that expensive meat away. Our main character revealed he absorbs beast essence through their flesh, which is why the meat he bought had already spoiled. For Shen Qinghan, this explained everything. She noted that with a power like this, he would never even need a genetic mutation. Switching gears now, Lin Zichin told her the coordinator authorized their families to live at the university, and Shen Qinghan thought it was a brilliant idea. She also mentioned an elite ranking duel happening later and invited him to watch since she heard a cyborg was going to challenge a mutant. The two headed to the gym. Along with teachers and students, members of the Mana God group were also watching. Lin Zichin recognized the famous cyborg from TV and realized the Mana God group is investing heavily in genetic modification courses. Shen Qinghan asked who would win between the genius from the capital and the local cyborg prodigy. Lin Zichin replied that if the evolution course student wins this duel, then the genius from the capital is likely stronger. Otherwise, the cyborg takes the crown. Now watch closely, because this duel is where we see the real gap between cybernetics and natural evolution. Using his cybernetic tech, the cyborg launched multiple missiles. Bombarded by explosions, the mutant was left completely dazed. Seeing this, the cyborg stopped firing and closed in. With a single, devastating punch, he knocked his opponent straight into the dirt. It was an absolute victory. The cyborg won without taking a scratch. A little while later, an assistant informed Yuan Dongji that passage 36 of Yuandi had been strangely quiet for the past few months. She also noted that Bak is evolving fast, nearly reaching the advanced rank of Tier 2. She added that the girl hardly seems human, wondering where she actually came from. Yuan Dongji cut her off, telling her not to ask questions and just focus on her work. Then Yuan Dongji turned her focus back to the fight, noting the cyborgs held a very clear advantage. However, she knew this strength was limited. Mechanical mods are useless in Yuandi, where all electronic equipment simply stops working. Back with Lin Zichin, he and Shen Qinghan spent the weekend with their parents and finally convinced them to move in. I know what you're thinking finally. Action. And trust me, this mission gets absolutely wild. He headed straight to the red light district, the known hunting grounds of his target. Knowing Catwoman is a master of disguise and uses chemical weapons, he prepared himself for a difficult hunt. He used his celestial eyes and danger perception to scan. However, his intense search ended up drawing some unwanted attention. A massive guy approached him, demanding to know why he was staring. Out of patience, Lin used biological pressure to shove him aside. Since he found nothing there, he decided to continue his search elsewhere. He didn't find the target, but he ran into a familiar face, Ma Shiwei. She was with two Tier 7 seniors, clearly also hunting Catwoman. Ma Shiwei was definitely not happy to see Lin Zichin and ordered her group to stay far away from him. As they left, she warned them that Lin was also on the hunt, and they needed to find the target first. One ally, fused with demonic hound genes, claimed his sharp sense of smell would lead them straight to the target. Shortly after, he caught the scent of Catwoman coming from a bar nearby. The trio rushed inside. The tracker pointed to a girl, but Ma Shiwei was skeptical since she looked normal. He insisted his nose never lies and that it could only be Catwoman in a disguise. Convinced, they tried to nab her, but the woman reacted instantly, smashing through a window to start a high-stakes chase. Catwoman is incredibly fast and manages to put a lot of distance between them, but the young tracker stays on her scent. He corners her in a dark alley, declaring she's finished. To their shock, the woman reveals that if she really wanted to escape, nobody could have caught her. Her plan wasn't to run. She was luring them all into a trap. With her prey cornered, Catwoman unleashes an overwhelming biological pressure that dwarfs anything they have ever felt, and begins her true transformation, revealing she was hiding her real power. Ma Shiwei tells her group to run before it is too late. And trust me, you and I are definitely going to want to see how they survive this. She turns to the dog boy, saying his look caught her eye. All right, you and I are jumping into a wild one. Ma Shiwei answers by tossing a smoke grenade, shouting that the blast will stun their enemies and buy time to escape. Once they are safe, Ma Shiwei's squad starts grumbling that this mission is way tougher than they ever signed up for. They keep pressuring her, saying that as the coordinator's daughter, she needs to fix this mess right now. Ma Shiwei grabs her phone to call her dad, but suddenly remembers Lin Zichin is out there and needs a warning. Without his number, she calls Shen Qinghan instead, while the Catwoman nearby is fuming that her target actually got away. Then, she spots someone new approaching a handsome guy who is exactly her type for a late-night hunt. She thinks she found an easy kill, but Lin Zichin is not playing around and gets ready to strike first. The Catwoman watches him lunge and realizes, with a shock, that this kid is much faster than her. She cannot even dodge as a massive blow sends her flying, with Lin Zichin noting his half-strength strike just completely disfigured her face. Gasping for air, she wonders how a teenager could be this strong without a single drop of genetic modification. Realizing she is outmatched, she decides her only hope is to turn tail and run as fast as possible. He stays right on her heels, and trust me, you and I are about to see his true power. Another devastating hit lands, yet somehow, this lethal opponent is still clinging to life. He decides to finish her off before she recovers. but suddenly feels the Catwoman's biological pressure start to skyrocket way too dangerously. Near death, she has triggered a blood awakening, putting her just one step away from becoming a terrifying advanced life form. Enraged, she demands to know who he is, but he just calmly apologizes for the mistake while preparing to strike. She realizes she had to burn through her full potential just to survive this completely unpredictable and terrifying monster of a human. Instead of risking another clash, she decides the best move is to disappear and heal her wounds. As she flees, a strange whistling sound cuts through the air before a piece of iron slams into her. Lin Zichin fired the shot, refusing to head home without making sure the mission was officially signed and sealed. After a few more direct hits, he senses the Catwoman's biological pressure fade away into nothingness. Mission accomplished. To prove the kill, he snaps a quick photo and uploads it directly to the university's app. He also rings up the security department, since it is their job to clean up whatever is left of the battlefield. He starts absorbing her life essence, shocked to find she still held 36% of her vital energy even after her death. Elsewhere, Ma Shiwei tells her father she nearly died, explaining the level 6 target was actually a much more deadlier level 9 threat. Her dad asks for every single detail so he can report this massive error to the authorities in charge. Hanging up, Ma Shiwei suggests they hurry back to campus before that terrifying Catwoman finds their trail again. Her friend reveals Lin Zichin already finished the job. And yeah, I know what you're thinking, how exactly did a freshman do that alone? With the weekend over, our hero heads back to the university campus alongside his girlfriend. Right then, a notification pings his mission points have finally been deposited into his account. But the reward is huge. The app explains he got extra points because the target was way more dangerous than labeled. He realizes the app's info is totally unreliable and vows to be much more careful from this point on. He also promises to bring Shen Qinghan along next time so they can tackle these missions together. She is thrilled, while he decides the best way to spend his points is buying undead worm meat for his ultimate assimilation. But he realizes that from now on, he needs to look out for Shen Qinghan too, since she needs to evolve. He asks what meat she prefers. After some research, Shen Qinghan suggests tyrant eagle meat because it is high quality and fits their budget perfectly. He agrees to buy it, but she insists on using her own credits to cover the shopping this time. Lin Zichin thinks that since they are living together, there is really no need for them to be this formal. During dinner, a knock at the door interrupts them. It is the delivery guy with the meat they just ordered. Surprised by the speed, he stashes the eagle meat in the fridge and starts absorbing the worm meat right away. He hits 100% assimilation, finally mastering the undead worm's truly insane regeneration abilities. He slices his hand to test the power, and what happens in seconds? You're going to want to see this. Alright, you and I are about to see how this healed wound proves minor injuries are no longer a concern. Someone knocks on the door again. He finds it strange as he hasn't bought anything else today. Opening the door, he finds Ma Shiwei. She apologizes for the late hour but insists they have something urgent to discuss. Lin Zichin asks the reason for her sudden visit. Ma Shiwei admits she's dying to know how he pulled off that Catwoman mission and took her down. Lin Zichin says it's complicated and invites her in for tea to talk. But Ma Shiwei is strictly interested in his mission. Since he's staying tight-lipped, she leaves. Shortly after, his girlfriend reveals that Ma Shiwei had actually called her earlier. She had warned her about the mission's danger because she was genuinely worried about him. It turns out she's not a bad person at all. Later, the leader notes that the Catwoman mission errors are causing a stir. Despite this, he knew Lin Zichin succeeded, even though the enemy was way stronger. He's curious how the kid actually managed it. Our hero just shrugs, saying it was nothing special. He just used his usual martial arts to finish the job. Now pay attention here, because nobody knows his real strength yet, and he's about to drop a massive bombshell. Choosing to finally trust his teammates, he reveals that his actual strength has already reached Tier 9. He also tells them he's finished basic body tempering and is currently in the second stage, skin treatment. The pavilion leader is visibly moved, realizing that all those years of hard work are finally paying off. He declares that when the time is right, he'll show the world their pavilion's advancements and leave every single person absolutely speechless. The leader says Lin Zichin's talent is unmatched. If it weren't for his lack of origin power, he'd suspect the boy was an inhuman. Never having heard of inhumans before, Lin Zichin asks for more specific details about them. Liu Chuanwu explains that inhumans are like mutant beasts that stay in Yuandi and rarely visit Earth. Even Song Yuyan is completely shocked. The leader adds that origin power is a unique energy from Yuandi, acting much like qi or spiritual energy. He's only met 2 inhumans in his life, so his own information on them is actually quite limited. Lin Zichin asks if there are any specific restrictions for visiting Yuandi himself. The leader says the minimum requirement is reaching Tier 1 of the advanced level. That's why he's never gone. He only encountered those inhumans while they were visiting here on Earth. He remembers one was his ex-wife's disciple 10 years ago, but he never learned much about the girl. The other was Lu Chuanwu, found in the same ancient ruins where they discovered the blood-tempering art. He emphasizes that this is all a secret, ordering his 2 students to never leak a word of it. Lu Chuanwu advises Lin Zichin to keep his power hidden since not everyone can be trusted. He should also get help. He specifically suggests asking Song Yuyan for help. Even for a powerhouse, it's always good to have backup during a mission. Lin Zichin thanks him and asks if there are any reference materials, so he can learn more about Yuandi. The leader explains that everything regarding Yuandi is top secret, and he doesn't know much more than that. Still, he notes that Lin Zichin is close to the advanced level, and will soon see Yuandi himself. He warns that the creatures there are much stronger, and have been seeking a way to invade Earth. Okay, I know what you're thinking. What exactly are they looking for? We're about to find out together. Just then, Lu Chuanwu's phone starts ringing loudly. After hanging up, he says an old flame invited him to dinner. Song Yuyan remarks that the leader is just hunting investors. Changing the subject, she asks how Lin Zichin hides his strength so perfectly that even university directors can't sense his power. He replies that he can't reveal that specific information. This only makes Song Yuyan more curious. She even offers to trade a secret of her own in exchange. Even so, Lin Zichin keeps his secret, leaving his colleague feeling completely frustrated. Since he won't talk, she proposes a fight since they're both currently at normal rank tier 9. Lin Zichin likes the idea. Fighting someone at his own level is the perfect way to test his abilities. Trust me, you're going to want to see this fight. She claims her tempering is more evolved, but she's letting him strike first. Alright, let's watch as our hero finally demonstrates his real power to his senior. Song Yuyan has an incredibly durable body, but she quickly realizes that if he keeps this up, he might actually injure her. Still, she is too proud to admit defeat and feels the need to maintain her superior senior status. So, she pretends to be unimpressed by his kick and tells him to hit the target squarely at the very first opening he finds. She adds that he should have aimed for her vital organs to put her down, because now she has the chance to counterattack. The two of them charge in and start a high-intensity exchange of blows. Unlike their previous spar, Song Yuyan is clearly going all out. Pay attention here, because even though she's trying, she realizes she's at a disadvantage and needs to win this fast. Realizing his senior is finally fighting for real, Lin Zichin decides to fake his own defeat and takes the hit. After the fight, Song Yuyan tells him he has a promising future, admitting she used 90% of her power. She is actually terrified that within a year, she won't be able to win even at her full power. She notes that with his current strength, he is finally ready to start opening up his meridians. She even offers to teach him everything she has learned so far. As they prepare, she explains that the human body has 366 meridians total, and the heart ones are easiest. She instructs him to feel those 4 heart meridians, and then use his chi to strike them 10 times every second. Lin Zichin tries the method but ends up failing. Song Yuyan tells him not to rush and suggests they practice more. Meanwhile, the pavilion leader, Lu Chuanwu, is hiding out in the basement of the Lu family. He tells his master that he has finally tracked down the person they have been searching for. This young man has the potential to break through every barrier of the pure blood path and help the master escape the coffin. However, the master remains completely silent. Let's pause for a second. The pavilion energy is fading, and Lin Zichin needs to evolve quickly before his master dies for good. Back with Lin Zichin, he returns home and is greeted by his beautiful girlfriend, Shen Qinghan. She reveals that her master wants her to undergo gene fusion sooner than expected, specifically with a deep blue jellyfish. Our hero knows that even though it is a low-level creature, this jellyfish can evolve and has a massive affinity for water. He thinks it is a fantastic choice for her, but Shen Qinghan is terrified, worrying that her body is too weak to survive the fusion process. He comforts her, pointing out that mutant jellyfish genes are incredibly expensive and her master is being very generous. He tells her not to worry, since her compatibility is high and the risk of failure is actually very low. He reminds her that she's already prepared and even froze her eggs, so she just needs to trust her master. Besides, most of the time, the physical changes from these fusions actually make a person look even more stunning. After hearing his words, she finally starts to feel a bit more confident. She looks up a video of the mutant jellyfish and is relieved to see how beautiful the creature actually looks. Lin Zichin tells her she's already gorgeous, so there is no way the fusion could make her look ugly. A bit embarrassed, she mentions that the video was recorded by her master, who dived deep into the ocean without gear. She wonders if she will ever be as powerful as her legendary teacher. He promises her that he will do everything in his power to help her reach that level. Hearing this, she says she will work hard to repay him. The next morning, he stays back to focus on training. Checking the news, he sees that mysterious plants are appearing all over the city, and botanists are currently cordoning them off. However, he notices that these plants look exactly like the ones in the photo Shen Qinghan's master sent him. He suspects the plants are definitely from Yuandi, and wonders if this has anything to do with the heretics behind the rats. Regardless, he needs to get stronger to fight this evil. so he considers buying medicinal pills to boost his progress. He checks the university app and finds some cheap recovery pills, deciding to buy 100 of them at once. It is also time to assimilate his next beast, so he starts searching the shop for the perfect candidate. Searching the store, he finds poisonous mongoose meat. You and I know that despite the name, this beast isn't actually venomous. Alright, you and I are about to see how eating venomous creatures turns this guy into a monster. Lin Zichin figured that by stealing the mongoose's natural abilities, he would become totally immune to toxins and never have to worry about being poisoned again. Since his last meridian breakthrough failed, he decided to spend more time tempering his physical body instead. After an hour of intense training, his energy was tapped out and he desperately needed to rest. To refuel, he ordered some food, and a delivery person from the university arrived shortly after. When he opened the door, Lin Zichin's muscles were so sore he almost lost his balance. He barely managed to grab the box without dropping it before testing out one of his new pills. The recovery was instant. His head throbbed for a second, but his body felt completely refreshed. Next, he ate the mongoose meat, successfully assimilating 1% of the creature's poison resistance. Thanks to those expensive pills, the time he needed to recover his chi dropped significantly. Here's the part you and I should remember. Spending credits for power is always the best investment. Later, Shen Qinghan came home with Chu Xin, who hadn't seen our main character in quite a while. The girl was happy for them but a bit jealous of their nice living situation. Unlike them, she was stuck in a tiny, cramped room with a roommate she barely knew. Lin Zichin offered her a spare room, but she declined, preferring the company of her current roommate. She really just came over to vent about how crazy and aggressive the upperclassmen were being lately. Bullies don't touch geniuses like Lin Zichin, but for normal students, life at the academy was getting rough. She explained how a senior entered her room for an inspection and just stole her cosmetics without asking. This kind of thing happened all the time, and complaining to the staff didn't change a thing. The higher-ups just claimed the university follows the cold principle of survival of the fittest, and those who can't handle it should leave. As true friends, the couple promised to help her out, but a massive earthquake suddenly cut their conversation short. Now watch this. Even though things seemed calm, Lin Zichin felt something was deeply wrong. Elsewhere, a divine servant told his lord he wanted to reach a higher biological level and needed specific materials for his evolution. The lord was pleased with his recent work and decided to reward him for his loyalty. He gave him a flower with aphrodisiac effects but warned him to have a woman nearby when using it. The ally revealed he found a freshman genius and was planning to possess him using a demonic seed. The lord didn't care, claiming that the only real geniuses worth his time were located in Yuandi. Just then, a report came in about an interference point in Yuandi that needed the Lord's activation. Without wasting a second, the Lord teleported directly to the location to handle the situation. Since the ally couldn't reach the Yuandi geniuses, he decided to capture a talented student on Earth instead. He ordered his lackey to finish the kidnapping mission within the next 3 days. Later, while walking with his girlfriend, Lin Zichin was approached by Lu Gang and Wang Shuji. They explained that a senior student was harassing them daily, and they desperately needed his protection. Lu Gang offered a bag of rare spiritual fruits and various pills as payment for the favor. When asked about the senior's strength, the boys confirmed that their bully was a level 6 fighter. Our protagonist accepted the job and the upfront payment, telling them he would handle the matter later. The two thanked him and left, leaving Shen Qinghan excited to try the legendary spiritual fruits. They decided to have a taste right then and there, but she noticed the fruits looked rotten, and Lin Zichin's danger sense immediately went into overdrive. His system identified them as high-level demonic seeds, sending him sprinting at full speed after the boys who had delivered the package. While chasing them down, he shouted for Shen Qinghan to call her master to their location immediately. Yuan Dongji arrived on the scene fast, asking what could possibly be causing such a commotion. You and I are leaving off here, as he explains the demonic seeds and the growing cult threat. The vice principal confirmed it was a mutant tree seed. Stick with me, because whoever eats this loses their entire soul to the tree. Hearing this, Lindine asked if those two boys were under the tree's control too. Regardless, Yuan Dongji decided to take them in for questioning and promised to report back with her findings. She warned that cultists were everywhere, advising her disciple and Lin Zichin to stay alert. Shen Qinghan was seriously impressed by her master's authority. She realized those boys were total liars, acting like they needed help just to cause some major harm. Lin Zichin agreed. Just as the vice principal warned, they needed to be looking over their shoulders from now on. The results dropped the next day. The boys were being puppeted by a cultist, leading to their immediate expulsion and punishment from the university. On a brighter note, the parents of Lindine and Shen Qinghan finally arrived to live together. Using those expensive pills, Shen Qinghan reached 40% of her second-stage body tempering. Progress was looking good. Soon, the day for the big fusion arrived. Yuan Dongji explained that this mutant jellyfish was a water element beast. That meant Shen Qinghan had to chug massive amounts of water for the fusion to actually work. She drank until she was about to burst. Finally, her master announced it was time to start. She held up a syringe filled with the mutant jellyfish genes. Now pay attention, because the real test is just beginning. She'll inject the heart directly, while Shen Qinghan is under anesthesia. But here is the catch. Once that wears off, her entire body will burn from the genetic modifications. As the procedure began, Lin Zichin watched every single move with bated breath. He knew a high-level surgery like this usually required a room full of equipment. But the vice principal was so skilled, she could perform the whole thing perfectly without them. After the injection, Yuan Dongji warned that the pain would hit any second. But 10 minutes passed, and Shen Qinghan felt absolutely nothing. Something was definitely off. She asked if the process had failed. But even Yuan Dongji didn't have an answer for her. She just couldn't wrap her head around why the mutation wasn't showing up in her star disciple. After a quick analysis, she explained that while Shen Qinghan hadn't fully fused with the beast, they couldn't exactly call the procedure a failure either. Usually, extreme pain is a common result of a successful fusion, as long as there is no rejection. However, the jellyfish's genes hadn't caused any reaction or rejection inside her body at all. Totally confused, Lin Zichin asked what that actually meant. You saw that too, right? The vice principal sensed that Shen Qinghan's genes have their own self-awareness, treating the jellyfish genes like a foreign virus and shutting them down. This situation was so bizarre that even she admitted she'd never seen anything like it before. Just then, Shen Qinghan noticed her hair color was starting to shift right before their eyes. Yuan Dongji noted that hair changes usually mean success. If the procedure had truly failed, her appearance shouldn't be changing at all. Shen Qinghan stated she felt a strange new presence in her body, one she felt she could actually control. Intrigued, the vice director started another deep analysis. Thinking she might have missed something, she told Shen Qinghan to try and force this new power into a state of hibernation. As Shen Qinghan focused on the guidance, her master was left speechless. Even the top geniuses took 15 days to manage this, but Shen Qinghan mastered it almost instantly. Lin Zichin was worried, but Yuan Dongji told him there was some good news and some bad news. The bad news was that Shen Qinghan might never fully fuse with a beast, but the good news? She doesn't even need to. Her master concluded that her disciple was actually on a completely different level. She was more powerful than any modified human because her genes dominated the injected ones, effectively controlling the beast's power. This meant she could use those beastly abilities without the risk of being controlled by them. Shen Qinghan was still a pureblood, making her the very first human to ever possess an ability like this. She was officially the first person on Earth to evolve into an advanced life form while staying a pure blood. Lin Zichin kept a poker face, knowing that he was also capable of the exact same thing. Shen Qinghan realized she could absorb creature abilities without being mutated, though she still needed their genes to fuel that power. Her master made her promise to keep this a total secret, as they explored her true potential together. 15 days flew by, and that's where we leave it. Shen Qinghan can now control water with her spiritual power. Trust me, you and I are going to want to see what happens next. Let's dive into a story where the main character's girlfriend is actually a total beast. She revealed she could manipulate an enemy's blood, a perfect technique for paralyzing anyone in her way. Seeing this, the main character realized she could likely manipulate her own blood too, allowing her to go through the same insane body tempering process he used. But Shen Qinghan mentioned her master claimed her intelligence was too low for that path. Lin Zichin encouraged her, saying that just like him, she possessed extraordinary abilities that no one else could match. Together, they would be an unstoppable force. So he asked her to at least give the training a shot. Hearing his words, she felt a surge of motivation and decided to try exactly what her boyfriend suggested. A bit later, the protagonist taught Shen Qinghan how to temper her own body, and she mastered the procedure surprisingly fast. Lin Zichin was shocked to see she was actually picking things up much faster than he ever did. Even more surprising, she was still only Tier 2, which meant her potential to become an absolute powerhouse was massive. She noted that she could now absorb mutant abilities without needing gene fusion, concluding that the two of them made an incredible duo. Just a few days later, Shen Qinghan managed to temper her entire skin and officially advanced to Tier 3. The main character knew he needed to test her in a real fight to see how resilient she had become. Now pay attention, because he just found a university mission that was the perfect chance to test her. Sometime later at the security headquarters, a police officer introduced the two young people who had volunteered to assist with the mission. The introduction of these two young prodigies to the rest of the force generated a wave of positive excitement. Captain Fang mentioned that he had a stepson who was also a freshman at the university and had joined the elite class. He was frustrated that Lin Zichin hadn't embraced the evolution path just yet, but he hoped the young man would change his mind and leave the pavilion for good. In any case, the captain announced that he had invited his stepson to join the mission alongside the talented duo. Right then, the stepson appeared. Captain Fang introduced him as Guanjian and boasted that the young man had reached Tier 5. He then led his stepson over to meet the two partners he'd be working with. However, once he saw Lin Zichin and Shen Qinghan, Guanjian recognized them immediately, wondering what they were doing there. The captain noticed the change in his stepson's mood and asked what was wrong. Guanjian replied he was just surprised. He explained that he already knew them because both were incredibly famous back at their university. You and I both know Lin Zichin is the king of freshmen who wrecked the entire elite class alone. Captain Fang had no clue the boy was so strong and realized he had made a huge mistake underestimating him. That night, they set out for the bandits' hideout. The captain offered the kids bulletproof vests, but Lin Zichin refused, saying he didn't need one. Guanjian also claimed he didn't need one. He claimed that even though he wasn't as strong as Lin Zichin, he was durable enough to survive gunfire. At the factory, police entered first. As soon as they saw the police, the bandits panicked and an intense, chaotic firefight erupted. While the officers scrambled for cover, Lin Zichin decided to charge directly at the bandits with Guanjian right behind him. However, Guanjian immediately retreated after being hit once. Unlike him, Lin Zichin just kept advancing. He was invulnerable to the bullets. As soon as he got close, he attacked the bandits and took them all down. In a desperate move, one criminal threw a grenade. The explosion distracted the officers, allowing a few of them to escape. Seeing this, Lin Zichin said he would let Shen Qinghan handle the rest. Excited, she knew this was her big moment. She used her ability to control the blood in her enemies' bodies, rendering every single one of them completely immobile. With the bandits captured, an officer showed them a strange box he had found at the scene. Captain Fang noted they were demonic seeds and concluded the criminals were connected to the cultists. With the mission complete, Lin Zichin announced that he and Shen Qinghan needed to head back to the university, leaving the rest to police. Before leaving, Lin Zichin saw something unusual. He noticed a rat planting a demonic seed and realized the rat and plant cults had joined forces. He immediately told Shen Qinghan to alert her master, as the situation was far too serious to be ignored. Lin Zichin also alerted Captain Fang, thinking it was best to keep the police informed of the looming danger. 15 days later, the pair accepted another mission in collaboration with the police. And trust me, you and I just saw him enlist Seong Yu Yen's help for a cyborg mission while his first semester finally comes to an end. Alright, you and I are back with our hero as he finishes his second stage of body tempering while Shen Qinghan finishes her first. Lin Shi notes that finishing the first stage in just 3 months is impressive, putting Shen Qinghan way ahead of the pack. However, Lin Shi also sees she is still stuck at tier 6, meaning her spiritual energy is great, but her body is still lagging. Shen Qinghan feels down about her strength, wanting to match her boyfriend's pace, but he does his absolute best to comfort her. Later at the pavilion, he and Song Yuyan are feeling pretty frustrated since they just cannot seem to open their meridians. To change the subject, she suggests talking about something fun. So, he asks exactly how many points he has saved up. Song Yuyan had let him use her account for those high-level missions, so he is expecting a decent haul. She reveals he has 2,400 points, which he figures is enough for 99 kilograms of mongoose meat, so he asks her to buy it. Song Yuan has no clue why he needs that much meat, but she goes ahead and places the order for him anyway. Back home, our main character takes the boxes inside and starts absorbing every single bit of that content. Thanks to this, he hits 100% assimilation with a new beast, making him completely immune to every toxin in existence. To test his new power, he injects a strong anesthetic straight into his arm. Now, watch closely, because he realizes normal medicine no longer works, right before he goes to help his girlfriend with her next gene injection. Before the procedure, Vice Director Yuan Dongji decides to check on her jellyfish gene to make sure there will not be a conflict with the new one. That is when she notices Shen Qinghan jumped from Tier 2 to Tier 6 and asks how she managed to evolve so fast. Shen Qinghan explains she has been mastering body tempering and finished the first stage using that specific blood control technique. Dongji is stunned that her disciple used her technique to master another skill, calling Shen Qinghan a true genius who is destined to become the strongest person in all of humanity. Seeing this, the vice director stops holding back and decides to inject 5 different beast genes just to see where her disciple's limit actually is. As she gives the injection, she sees 4 of the genes get wiped out the moment they hit the girl's system. Only the undead worm genes survive, becoming enslaved by her body just like the jellyfish genes were before. Yuan Dongji realizes her disciple is clearly only compatible with aquatic types, so she decides to test every single aquatic gene she has available in the lab. I know what you're thinking, is she already hitting a wall? Turns out, she currently has a limit of 2 aquatic genes. She thinks the limitation might be coming from Shen Qinghan's lack of physical strength, or maybe her spiritual power, but she is confident that once the girl grows stronger, she will be able to absorb even more genes. Dongji adds that the undead worm has incredible healing power and a body lubricated by natural mucus, which she jokes will be quite useful for the couple's intimacy later on. Finally, the vice director lets them know that the upcoming freshman tournament is being pushed back until the very end of the semester. She has huge expectations for her disciple, hoping she can reach the top 5 this time without needing any outside help. Our hero is not happy about the delay since he was hyped for the fight, but soon Lin Zichin arrives with tons of bags. Our main character is confused and asks why she is lugging around so much stuff. Lin Zichin explains that her family's clothing store just restocked, so she brought over several new pieces for her friends to try on, telling them the clothes were fresh and clean. Lin Zichin takes the chance to snap some photos of her friends acting as her personal models. Shen Qinghan finally sees her friend's secret plan, but she is honestly just happy to have the new clothes anyway. Once the photo shoot wraps up, our main character suggests it is finally time to grab some food. At dinner, Shen Qinghan mentions that she and her friend ran into a super arrogant senior on their way back to the dorms. This girl actually tried to steal Lin Zichin's bags by force, and only backed off after realizing who Shen Qinghan was. Lin Zichin confirms it is the same bully from before, and feels terrible for dragging her friend into this mess. She adds that the girl thinks she is untouchable because her boyfriend got her a spot on the student council, so she does whatever she wants. Getting fired up, our main character takes the girls straight to the martial arts gym. Once they arrive, Lin Zichin points out the troublemaker, a girl named Lin Zichin. You and I just know this is going to be good. Let's see if she returns that stolen makeup now. Alright, stick with me. We're dropping into a drama where this girl swears she's no thief and promises to return everything she borrows, claiming she's never failed once. But Lin Zichin calls her out, revealing that Lin Zichin steals her brand new makeup and only returns the empty containers. Lin Zichin denies everything, acting totally shocked while dragging her friend Faye into the mess as her witness. Hearing all these blatant lies, Lin Zichin is absolutely furious. The main character calls over a teacher and asks if university rules really allow students to get away with this kind of oppression. The teacher explains that on this campus, a weaker student can challenge a stronger one whenever they want. Now pay attention here, the strong can only challenge the weak if they agree, and they use combat power rankings to decide who's actually on top. Plus, for an official challenge to take place, both students have to bet an equal amount of credits where the winner takes everything. The main character realizes this means that as a senior, Lin Zichin can now be challenged by them at any moment. Terrified of the hero's reputation, Lin Zichin tries to back out, whining that a powerful guy like him shouldn't be picking on a girl. But our protagonist has a better idea. He's not the challenger, his girlfriend is. Shen Qinghan steps up and trust me, we're in for an epic fight.